The avoided Huang Xiaoying, for, as a result of all these anomalies, Bai Yan's perspective of this mountain only grew stranger by the minute. But then just as her eyes were wander around for clues as to why, a sudden sharp call of a bird from the air had knocked her back from her senses. It was far away still in the sky, however, it's more than enough to send her alarms into high alert. Little Rice, come back. Stunned by the loud order, Little Rice didn't know how to react and only peered upwards at the strange noise. Who is this? Who dares to trespass on the forbidden grounds of the Demon Mountain? Though it's a beautiful female who spoke based on the sound signature they are hearing, the voice was nevertheless painful in how it's seemingly able to penetrate one's soul. And as if on cue, the owner of that voice gradually materializes from the void and into reality. Long red hair that flutters with the wind, this was a glamorous female that looks to be in the middle-age group gap. However, that red dot on that forehead seems to be able to rewind that appearance by over a decade, making her with the looks of a young maiden while keeping the mature air of a woman that could only be gained with age and experience. Hurrying to pull her son behind her back and picking up the baby tiger, I'm sorry for trespassing on this forbidden ground, we didn't mean to disturb your rest. We will leave now. There's good reason for Bai Yan to be so alarmed and defensive before this glamorous woman of flaming red, she's strong, second only to Ditsang based on her judgment. Hold on. Seeing that Bai Yan was about to turn away, the glamorous woman hurried to break free from the last bit of the void, her eyes showing urgency. You can't go. Startled by the outcry from the back, she turns back and asked, is there something else? Biting that rosy lip, the glamorous woman had on a look of strong expectations, I am Suzaku, Vermilion Bird. Suzaku? Bai Yan's hand actually trembled at the name. You are Suzaku? Yes, I am Suzaku, that glimmer of hope now burns like a sparkling flame, do you remember me? Calmly shaking her head, Bai Yan answers truthfully and denies it, I heard Xiao Wan, princess, mentioning you before, and then. I had that dream of a white tiger. I'm just wondering, do you know or have anything to do with the white tiger? When she said this, her eyes were also sneaking a peek at the dumb-looking Little Rice in her arms. When the baby white tiger claimed that the Demon Mountain seemed oddly familiar before, Bai Yan's instinct already knew it couldn't be a coincidence. It must be related to the 4 sacred beasts. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. That answer definitely caused a pang of disappointment in Suzaku's face. First giving a look at Bai Yan, then back at Little Rice, she sighed helplessly, State teacher didn't lie, you and the king have forgotten everything. She forgot me. Forgot the me who waited 1,000 years here for her. Bai Yan didn't know the pain that's currently coursing through this Vermilion Bird's heart, but she did have a lot of questions to ask now that she's found a lead. Taking 2 steps forward, do you know about the dream I had? And, did me and Ditsang have a past before? The state teacher said I shouldn't tell you, so I can't say anything more. Pursing that lip, Suzaku makes a bittersweet smile, can you stay here? Can you, stay in the Demon Mountain? Lowering that gaze like she's contemplating something, if you answer my question then I will stay. However, by the time Bai Yan looked up again, what she saw had completely taken her aback. The glamorous woman was tearing up with total disregard for her own appearance like someone being ripped away from their closest kin. The avoided Huang Xiaoying, 5, why are you crying? Bai Yan hated it when others cry in front of herself, for she couldn't bear those tears. Otherwise, why else would she yield to her son so easily? It's all because of those tears that's common in a baby. Hoo! Suzaku wipes some of those tears and composes her voice to an audible level. If you stay then I won't cry. Can you not leave? I won't ask for much, only half a month, is that okay? That voice was now pleading, giving away the intense fear of being rejected over this unreasonable demand. It couldn't be helped. She has already waited for a millennium, and of the 4 sacred beasts that once roamed this world, only she remains. Half a month, only half a month, I'm not asking for much. Bai Yan continues to stare at the tears trickling down Suzaku's cheek, causing her heart to twist and churn immeasurably. In the end, the only reaction she made was a frown. For the vermilion bird, she would of course not miss that. Borderline panicking now over the negative appearance, the glamorous woman hurried to raise 2 fingers to draw the number 10 in the air. Note, the number 10 in Chinese is written like the church's cross in case you guys didn't get it. 10 days, if you can't, 9 days will do too. When she reached the last bit of her plea, the grievance has grown so strong that Suzaku was now openly weeping. Don't cry. Moving forward, she helps wipe some of those tears from the woman. I will stay with you, or you can follow me down the demon mountain instead. Probably the promise helped because Suzaku had stopped the weeping to a certain extent. Really? It is great that you can stay with me. I can't leave this place. Why? I need to keep watch over something hidden inside the demon mountain. When you locate Azure Dragon and Black Turtle as well, then you can come take it away. The gorgeous woman now fully reverts back to her glamorous self. Even if it's just half a month, it's enough. But instead of showing happiness like the other side, Bai Yan only showed a look of perplexity over that last remark. Turning her head downward at the dumb-looking tiger, she lifts him up to properly display the little fella. I remember that when I had the dream of the white tiger is when I contracted with Little Rice. Does that mean he's white tiger? Yes, and no. Suzaku gives a lamenting sigh at Little Rice before shaking her head. There is white tiger's blood in his body, just that he's not the real white tiger yet. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. The real white tiger is a young general who is capable of turning the tide in any major battle. One stomp to shake the world. One clap to destroy thousands. But this Little Rice is too weak. I can easily flick him away with a single finger. When he awakens, that's when the real white tiger will return. Of course, this will require your help. Giving a dazzling smile now that her moods lightened up, Suzaku suddenly makes a stomp of her feet like she's just remembered something. Queen, you don't know how abominable those female demonesses are in the demon realm. Whenever they see Sire, they would all ogle at him until they're drooling. If it wasn't because I couldn't leave the demon mountain, I would have already killed those people. At the thought of this, Suzaku would immediately show off a grumpy appearance like she's ready to give a good beating. To root for this idea, Bai Xiachen also nods his little head in order. That's right. Those bad women are too evil. In order to go against my mother, they would kidnap me and my friends in order to make her submit. That snake woman even tried to force me to take a poison. What? A flash of viciousness flickered in the glamorous woman's eye. The snakes are nothing more than one of the most inferior existence in the demon realm. How dare they try to covet after the position of queen? They deserve death for the sins they committed. I did not expect that after thousands of years the snake demons would have such audacity now. I must inform His Majesty afterwards. Sister Suzaku, you see, my mother is always being bullied by bad people. In order to avoid something like that again, do you have any treasure for her? All bright and innocent, Bai Xiachen asks with hopeful eyes that could melt one's heart. The avoided Huang Xiaoying. 6. Bai Yan's face was black as she's ever had it. My son, can you not take it for granted when asking for a gift from someone else? That's not a good habit to have. Let me think about it. Suzaku rubs her chin like she's thinking. Suddenly, her eyes sparkled with delight. I remember now. About 100 years ago, there was a bastard who dared to trespass into the demon mountain in order to steal. I caught him and beat him good, and I nabbed his storage bag as punishment. But Sister Suzaku, who is so bold that they would come steal from the demon mountain? Looking up in curiosity, Bai Xiachen really wanted to know. Giving pause, the glamorous woman instead gazed down at the baby tiger. I think it was a member of the tiger clan, whatever Huang Chemu. If not for him being related to White Tiger, I wouldn't have let him go. Huang Chemu, Tiger Clan. Talk about being the apple not falling far from the tree. I bet the girl's habit of stealing is also inherited from her old man. He seems to have a daughter named Huang Xiaoying too. When I caught him, he kneeled and begged for mercy, claiming there's a little tiger cub waiting for him back at home and needs to be fed. It was during that moment where he told me the girl's name. Out of pity, I let him go. That's right, Huang Che-mu was the only one who ever trespassed into the Demon Mountain and managed to return alive in all these centuries. Therefore, after his clan became aware of this fact, he was then immediately taken as the chief and the rest was history. That means Huang Xiaoying is already over a century old. All stiff in his demeanor, Little Rice had all his fur raised like a ball. If it is based on the age of human beings, this Huang Xiaoying is already an old lady, and I'm only a baby tiger of 5. Mistress, in his panic, the little fella promptly jumped into Bai Yan's embrace. Making a pitiful face, "You mustn't contract that Huang Xiaoying, otherwise I will commit suicide in front of you, Hu." Being the understanding and considerate adult that she was, Bai Yan didn't have the heart to point out demons are different in terms of counting one's age. Turning back to Suzaku, "Where are you keeping your stashes, can I see?" The treasures that's collected by Suzaku cannot be anything ordinary. Okay, Suzaku's smile has reached up to her eyes at this point, those things were originally for you anyways. Now that you are here, just take what belongs to you. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. Why? Because, stumping on that for a bit, her smile grew even deeper till it's all that she could express. I'm yours anyway, so naturally my possessions are yours as well. Bai Yan definitely shuddered over that answer. That's right, she's shuddering at the thought of being the love target of another female. She's just not into that sort of relationship, so she couldn't help but give the weird eye at the glamorous woman. Oh, Queen, don't misunderstand me. Suzaku then got all shy and fiddly with her fingers. What I meant is, when you return with Azure Dragon and Black Turtle, you can then contract with me. It will greatly benefit you. In truth, if it wasn't for the fact that she still couldn't leave this demon mountain, this vermilion bird would have jumped at making the contract already. With the misconception out of the way, it was time they went to the secret stash in question. Suzaku didn't hide it far, only a short walk away, which gave Bai Yan ample time to sweep across the entire treasure trove. As an alchemist, the medicine ingredients were the first to go naturally. However, there were many useful treasures as well that was outside of her field of expertise. This soul bracelet can trap a being's soul into its confines. When done, even if they are your mortal enemy, they will still have to submit to your will. Suzaku explains, proud of the fact that she's got something that could please. Putting the bracelet away after getting the details, not bad. I will go collect a powerful soul later and gift it to my grandfather from the lawn house. The avoided Huang Xiaoying, 7. The first thing she thought of was the lawn house. After all, it was this family who stood by her side during times of distress. That kind of bond and kindness could never be forgotten. The tea from this teapot can help increase one's spiritual energy. This is useful for Grandpa Bai back at the medicine sect. And this one. Because of Suzaku's words earlier, Bai Yan ended up not holding back at all and grabbed the best things there were, thus filling her storage sack to the brim of exploding. Suzaku, I saw a lot of precious herbs growing around the mountain when I was coming up. I intend to take them as well, is that fine with you? Okay, here, take Little Rice, I'm sure the two of you have a lot of things to catch up upon. Readily throwing the baby tiger into the other side's arm, Bai Yan then took her son's hand. Son, let's go, we're going on a harvesting trip. Okay mother, I will listen to you. All smiles, the boy starts getting all excited for the trip. Let us go then. Hand in hand, the mother and son pair then left the cave, leaving behind one tiger and one bird in the background who kept eyeing each other awkwardly. How did you become so weak now? After a few minutes, it was Suzaku who broke the silence with her helpless sigh. Little Rice on the other hand only blinked innocently like he didn't understand. I don't know what you are talking about, I don't know you. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. You are too weak now. Suzaku continues her one-sided conversation with a shake of that head. The enemy that the queen will face in the future is very strong, you can't protect her like that. Your priority now is to increase your strength, you can't. But just as Suzaku was planning to lecture the baby tiger further, Little Rice did something unbelievable by bringing out a pig trotter from out of some secret hiding spot and took a huge bite out of it. Little Master is finally gone, I don't need to hide it anymore. It's all because of him that I had to hide my snack for so long. If I let Little Master see this trotter, then he will definitely take it away from me. Suzaku's face was abysmally dark right now. She wanted to lash out by tossing this blasted cat away, but endured only thanks to her years of experience in self-restraint. When did you become so gluttonous? Where did the one who only knows how to cultivate and train go? Are you going to only come to your senses once your soul awakens? Despite all that talk, Little Rice didn't care and continued to munch on his trotter. To this baby cub, food stands above all, including past companions. Forget it, Suzaku couldn't take it anymore and just tossed this big glutton away. Eat and eat until you explode then. Humph, even his character has completely changed now that he's reborn. I hope Azure Dragon and Black Turtle won't disappoint me as much as he is, otherwise I might just strangle the three of them so they get reincarnated again. Demon Mountain. Under the coverage of the white glowing light in this terrain, Bai Yan was fully enjoying herself as she harvested all the herbs she deemed suitable. Son, we've picked all the things we can take without harming the ecosystem. Let's go now. Then just as the pair was about to return back up the slope, that's when they heard the series of footsteps from behind, thus causing her to wrinkle up that brow. Godfather, that's her, she's the one who refused to listen to my persuasion and forcibly entered the Demon Mountain. The voice was crisp and clear, almost charming even if not for the content in that sentence. Fortunately she got lucky, Lady Suzaku is currently in dormancy so she's able to avoid hard times. Otherwise, she might already be dead by now. Having said that, Jun Ruqing's eyes were obviously showing disappointment. Why did Lady Suzaku not kill this woman who encroached onto her territory? Guest of the Demon Mountain, 1, is there something? Her tone may be indifferent, but that gaze carried the arrogance of overlooking all the beings of this world like they are beneath herself. Jun Ruqing on the other hand didn't care for the attitude, her attention solely focused on the herbs in Bai Yan's hand only. She was gleeful inside but made sure to hide it like she's regretting the fact. Miss, the medicinal materials of this Demon Mountain belongs to Lady Suzaku. If you take these herbs away, you will inevitably anger her. I merely don't want you to throw away your own life, hence the reason why I brought the elders to advise you. This is set in stone, evidence and witnesses are all here, she can't escape now. This absolutely delighted Jun Ruqing after hearing that response. Unable to resist, a faint smile ended up seeping through to only be retracted in the next second when she turned back to the elders. Godfather, I have already tried to persuade her. She's not listening and insists on angering Lady Suzaku, I'm out of ideas. The first elder didn't speak though despite being the target of that pretentious speech. Instead, his eyes were fully locked onto Bai Yan like he's contemplating something in his mind. After a long while, he asks with a doubtful voice, Queen. On the day where Di Tsang and Bai Yan entered the demon realm, only the state teacher, a select group of the ministers were permitted to be present out of fear of scaring the queen with their vast numbers. Therefore, none of the elders present knew who Bai Yan was and thus the uncertainty. Stopping over that word, Bai Yan meets the excited look of the elder, you got something else to say? Forgive me Queen, I didn't know the one who came to the Demon Mountain is you. If I had known, I wouldn't have caused such a scene. Making a meepish smile, the first elder then shoots a warning look at his goddaughter. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. This girl did not tell me the person who came to the Demon Mountain is the Queen. What's more, the entire territory in the demon realm is the queen's, why should she get consent from others? Ruching, don't you think you should give me an explanation on what's going on here? The fox woman trembled hard at the demand, her face blue and white from shock. The way her godfather was acting went beyond her expectations and more. For one, it stands to reason that everyone should be enraged that a human woman was trying to occupy this demon mountain and take its treasure, so why? Why would the queen be exempt? Godfather, these days Her Highness refused to meet anyone, that's why I didn't know her identity. What's more? Halting for a second, she bites her lip like she's the one facing grievance. The demon mountain is so dangerous, I'm just doing this out of concern for her safety. Not to mention Lady Suzaku's temper is not good to begin with. If she learns of an intruder coming into her home, I can't even fathom what she would do to everyone. The reason why the demon mountain was called the Forbidden Grounds was all because of the vermilion bird living here. Aside from Di Tsang and Di Xiaowan who would occasionally barge her way into this place, none were allowed lest they want to be burned to death by the bird's flame. That's why it's without surprise that many of the elders would start worrying in their hearts. They know how troublesome it would become if Jun Ruqing's words were to come to fruition. Guest of the Demon Mountain, 2 Ruqing. The first elder sighs and makes a frustrated face. I have told you before that you don't have to worry about the businesses related to the king. If Her Highness trespasses into the Demon Mountain, then there will be His Majesty coming to save her, there's no need for you to interfere. Not to mention, the relationship between the Queen and the one residing here is not ordinary to begin with. Seemingly decided now in her mind after being reprehended, Godfather, it's precisely because she's our Queen that it's more dangerous. I heard Lady Suzaku has an extraordinary relationship with Sire, and in the past, she has already burned one of His Majesty's admirers after the woman trespassed into her domain. If it becomes known that the Queen is here, what do you all think would happen? And sure enough, Bai Yan's attention has been caught, just that it's only the look of someone confused by what they were hearing. Moreover, who doesn't know the one here in the Demon Mountain is very special. In fact, if there were no queen, then maybe the position of queen would have been hers instead. I'm only doing this out of concern for Her Royal Highness's safety. Pa! In a fit of rage, the first elder directly sends a slap across Jun Ruqing's face over that outrageous statement. Now on her snowy white skin was the print of 5 fingers due to the impact. Ruqing, you disappoint me. The elder sighs, exhausted by everything that's transpiring. He honestly thought his goddaughter could control her feeling for Di Tsang, but his expectations were wrong, very wrong. Can love really make a person lose their senses so easily? First elder, quell your anger first, I'm sure Ruqing didn't mean to do what she did. The rest of the elders quickly steps in to help soothe the situation. They are aware of how sensible the fox woman could be at these times, yet this occasion went against all that they know of her. What's more, she has the audacity to frame Di Tsang. If word reaches the man's ear, a storm would ensue without a doubt. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. That's right, Ruqing made a mistake, that's her fault no doubt. However, her intents were good in the end. If we must find some sort of fault here though, it would be her misconception of the Queen being a palace maid, otherwise, why would she come running to us for help? When Bai Yan heard the elder's persuasions, she actually gawked her mouth in surprise. Facing the ghastly white fox woman, Miss, have we met before? The elders are likewise startled by the question then. What does she mean by this? Didn't Ruqing say she had tried to persuade Her Highness in not stepping into the Demon Mountain? What's this stuff about have we met? Son, have you seen her before? Bai Yan pulls her son in front of herself and made a deep smile. As the most adorable and lovable son of his mother, Bai Xiachen would of course not miss the meaning behind those words. Making the most devious and sly grin, Mother, isn't she the lady in charge of sweeping the floor? I remember she was constantly squatting outside our place, to think she was the first elder's goddaughter. Turning to said elder, the baby boy then puts on the most dissatisfied face he could make. Grandpa Elder, does my baddie father know about this? Pushing your own goddaughter into being the cleaning lady is not right, you know. Guest of the Demon Mountain. 3. The boy's words may appear nominally on Jun Ruching's side, but in fact it's to tell the elders one thing: during this period the woman has been stalking the White Moon Palace acting as a cleaning lady. Therefore, the lie of not knowing who the queen was becomes false. You're spouting lies. The fox woman cries out in desperation, falling into panic as she does so. I have never disguised myself as a palace maid, you are framing me. Instead of being angered at being called a little liar, Bai Xiachen only popped his mouth into a shape like he's surprised as well. So it's not Grandpa Elder who sent you to clean my home, it's you doing it on your own. I'm sorry Grandpa Elder, it's my fault for wronging you. That said, the boy then sincerely bows his head like a good little kid. I was too quick to judge earlier, my apologies for the mistake. Her outfit is simply too similar to the other palace maids, that's why I thought she was a cleaning lady when she was sweeping the floor with the broom. Highness, you don't need to be so polite with us, after all, you didn't mean it. The first elder then shifted his attention back over to his goddaughter, who clearly lost control of the situation. Ruching, explain yourself this instant. She is Jun Ruching. Bai Xiachen abruptly exclaims, showing a look of horror for some reason. Originally the fox woman was already trembling from her godfather's interrogation, but the boy's loud voice only made it worse. In that moment, she actually went numb and went to the knees. Highness, do you know this goddaughter of mine? Shifting to the little prince, the first elder asks. Making a tied look for the longest time, Bai Xiachen eventually speaks. A few days ago, Huang Xiaoying came to find mother in order to make trouble. Fortunately auntie was there also and stopped it before it could happen. Then after a confession due to duress, Huang Xiaoying came clean and revealed it was this woman who led her along, claiming mother had multiple affairs with other men before coming. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. For the sake of his own tiger friend, Bai Xiachen could only keep the fact that Huang Xiaoying divulged everything for the sake of little rice. After all, it's not good for one's reputation to have a century-old lioness going after a baby cub, thus the blame could only fall on Di Xiaowan. Jun Ruching. The first elder roars, you got some nerve there, framing the queen behind her back. Do you think sire's sight is blind or something? You think he wouldn't know the queen's character well? Getting more and more flustered now, godfather, that Huang Xiaoying is framing me, I have done no such thing. Ho, are you taking me for a fool or thinking I have a twisted mindset? A brainless girl like that Huang Xiaoying could never hatch a plan of this scale or intricacy. The first elder has lost all the warmth from his voice, turning stern and serious like a figure of authority that he was. Meanwhile in the background, Bai Xiachen only watched in silence while holding Bai Yan's hand. Why do I keep getting the feeling that Huang Xiaoying would be very sad if she learns of the elder's opinion? Godfather, I am wrong, I know I am wrong, I beg you not to tell His Majesty about this. In a desperate plea, Jun Ruching pulls against her godfather's sleeve, tears falling like a waterfall. If was in the past, the other elders present would have already stepped in to help out. However, the matter involves the royal family and the fault definitely lies with her. How could a girl who was so clever in the past become so vicious? Second elder, third elder, finding no hope from this angle, Jun Ruching hurries to look elsewhere. You two must help. If things reach the king's ear, it will be the end of me. Guest of the Demon Mountain. 4. Thinking of the consequences, Jun Ruching's face now grew extremely pale and could literally be described as a ghost. But regardless of her begging and head banging from the kowtowing, none of the elders would move. They only had disappointment left for the girl. Queen, the first elder sighs and cups his hand at Bai Yan. This is my fault for not disciplining her well, leading her to have such a distorted heart. I will personally report this to His Majesty, is that fine? Bai Yan didn't speak, only giving a silent nod before turning away with her son in tow. However, there are simply those who don't learn or understand their own mistakes. From out of nowhere in the back, Queen, I indeed made a mistake out of jealousy, but if I were you I wouldn't continue. I can't bear to watch you die. Covering that blazing hatred in her eyes now, the fox woman wants to make one final attempt at ruining Bai Yan's relationship. There are no lies about Sire's relationship with Lady Suzaku. If you insist on going up the Demon Mountain, you will surely die. That instantly causes Jun Ruching to stiffen over as she looked up to see that indifferent gaze shooting her way. I've already said it to this extent, how can she be so unfazed by this? It can't be. Does she really not care about His Majesty being with other females? Impossible, there's no woman in this world who would willingly allow their man to cheat on them, nor would they accept multiple wives to share their husband. Queen, you may not care about Sire having concubines in his harem, but Lady Suzaku will definitely care about your existence. Going all in now, Jun Ruching gnashes her teeth and didn't care anymore. After all, they've known each for so long already, you are merely a latecomer. The implication her words were that Suzaku should be the main wife while she's nothing but a third party who came in later to steal another woman's man. Jun Ruching, you are looking for death. The first elder has completely exploded with rage now. In his fit, the man actually sent a punch directly onto his goddaughter's chest and sent the fox woman flying across the grasses. Despite the trickling of blood coming out of her mouth, the jealous one had on a rather happy smirk in light of her dire situation. I won't let you have a good time either, even if it means my death. Lady Suzaku will definitely kill you. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. Queen, don't listen to her nonsense. The first elder anxiously turns to Bai Yan, his voice urgent and afraid. Lady Suzaku can't be in a relationship with His Majesty, it's impossible. The possessive desire of a woman mustn't be underestimated, it's a terrible thing to meddle with, that much the first elder knew. However, the old man obviously thought too much of it this time. Is that it? The reason you cried out for me? Unfazed and without an ounce of care, Bai Yan mildly asks the defeated woman. Isn't that news big enough? Jun Ruching pops her eyes in disbelief. If there is nothing of importance, then don't call out to me again. As for you elders here, I'm sure I will get a proper answer for today's incident, am I right? Squinting her eyes to scan the group of old farts who came today, Bai Yan's warning tone takes them hostage like a knife. Subconsciously rubbing that neck like his head's about to roll, the first elder hurries to answer, Of course your highness, Sire really loves you. The whole reason the palace harem remains empty to this date is all for your sake. Ho, Jun Ruching snorts then, not believing the statement from her godfather at all. How stupid can godfather be? There's no way this woman would believe such an obvious lie. After all, how can anyone foresee the future centuries away when the human woman hasn't even been born yet? Guest of the Demon Mountain, 5. Oh, I know. As a result of that mild and indifferent way of answering from Bai Yan, Jun Ruching's last tinge of contempt was lost. Right now, there's only incredulous and disbelief in that face. Is the queen that stupid? Godfather's words are obviously there to deceive her, why would she believe that nonsense? The other elders also exchanged looks of oddity, for they didn't expect such shameless words either from their leader. Furthermore, they never thought the queen to believe it too. This point immediately sent the fox woman into a terrible shake. Indeed, the matter of her identity was a big sore spot in her mind. Take Huang Xiaoying for example. There's been multiple occasions where she would have liked to be in the same situation, make plenty of trouble and still have her old man clean up the mess. But she couldn't. She's only a daughter of a small little general that perished. By coincidence and by fate, she was then accepted as the goddaughter of the first elder due to her cleverness and ability to please. Haha. Out of the blue, Jun Ruching just laughed and made the most painful face anyone has ever seen her made. if my identity is not worthy, then what about hers? Pointing straight to Bai Yen with that accusing finger, her actions were damning and caused her godfather to turn green. But before the old man could explode again, the moment was cut short by a female call of a bird from within the mountain valley. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. This absolutely delighted the fox woman till she's openly laughing in a maniacal manner. Do you all hear that? That's Lady Suzaku's bird call. This woman is doomed for stealing from the Demon Mountain. There's no way she would let this person leave even if she is the queen. Suzaku has killed every female who tried to seduce the king that came here, there's no way this would be any different. From within the void, an enraged and rumbling voice quickly drifted over, causing everyone's heart to go numb from fright. Who is coming to my Demon Mountain to make trouble? They are asking for death. It was so hard to be reunited with the queen, how dare they come and interrupt our great reunion? It's just that. When Suzaku swept her sharp gaze across the field in this valley, her face quickly caught sight of the target of her fealty, which also causes her to become doubtful and confused. Does this group know the queen? If so, touching them won't be so good then. Lady Suzaku. Jun Ruching cries out, her eyes showing joy after seeing the elder's ghastly expression. You are finally here. This woman not only came to steal from the Demon Mountain, she is also delusional enough to want to become the queen of the demon realm. Please punish her. The vermilion bird just gawked like her brain just went poof. What? Queen have always been the mistress of this realm, what delusion and want? Clearly 1,000 years of experience hasn't prepared Suzaku for this level of stupidity. Ruching, if you be good and walk away with me now, I can still save you out of consideration for our bond through the years. But if you continue to tarnish the queen's name, then don't blame me for being cold and not helping you. Whatever comes next is your own doing. No matter how disappointed he was of this fox woman, the first elder still wanted to give her a final chance to save herself from utter destruction. Godfather, I don't know what you are talking about. Flickering a vicious light in her eyes, Jun Ruching didn't give a hoot and presses on with her nonsense. Everyone knows Lady Suzaku is in love with His Majesty. Now that someone is trying to steal the queen's throne, it's only to be expected that her ladyship would be enraged. Guest of the Demon Mountain, 6, even if I can't escape my imminent death, I still won't let her do any better. Thinking of this, Jun Ruching's eyes are now openly hostile. As for Suzaku the vermilion bird, she was even more confused and lost. The only thing running through this glamorous woman's head now was that last comment and the fear of what it entailed. Stinking bitch, what are you talking about? In her urgent rage, she quickly steps out from the void and lashes out in defense of herself. When did I like the king? Why did I never know I liked the king? Making a dismissive smile, the fox woman only took this as the other side being shy and didn't want to let everyone know. But it doesn't matter, her goal has been achieved, for the impression's been made regarding Bai Yen as the third-party thief. Yet, the next action from Suzaku went against everything that's been planned. Her resentfulness was displayed fully in the glare she shot over to the criminal responsible for this mess, which only got emphasized when Suzaku turned back to Bai Yen with a tearful and pitiful face. If one didn't know better, they might just assume she's being abandoned by her husband that caught her cheating and was now in the middle of trying to make excuses. Bai Yen on the other hand only felt increasingly uncomfortable under that look. Rubbing her arms like she's just got the goosebumps, you insulted Ditsong just now, you know. What do you think he would do if he learns of it? That immediately caused a horrible change in Suzaku's face. She has always found the opposite sex disgusting, that's why she ended up saying that sentence without forethought. However, that doesn't excuse the fact that the man she's so jealous of was the king and husband to the woman whom she's sworn absolute loyalty to. Sister Suzaku, you just scolded Batty father, especially while in front of mother. If he learns of what you did, he will definitely come pluck your feathers. All smiles, the little steam bun just had to chime in at the worst possible moment. Going stiff like a rock, Suzaku's face had fallen into full panic mode. Don't assume just because Di-tsang has lost his memories of the past that he would turn a blind eye to this transgression. Whenever it's related to Bai Yan, the man always stands at the forefront and would plow through any obstacle or threat. And now, she's insulted him right in front of the biggest taboo possible. It'd be a miracle if he doesn't chop her to pieces and make some roast chicken out of it. Chew. Queen, you have to help me. Suzaku then pulls at Bai Yan's hand, her face pitiful and crying, you have to save me from the king. If you don't then I will die in front of you. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. Stop crying already. Scanning the people present, her gaze carefully swept across everyone while making a heavy grin. If I don't say it, and they don't say it, who do you think will tell him then? As long as she doesn't tattle then these old-timers are sure to keep their mouths shut lest they want to get on her bad side. Phew, then that's great. Heaving a long sigh of relief, the vermilion bird lady swiftly returns to her old confident self as she eyed the criminal responsible for her misfortune. Under that squinting stare, Jun Ruching's face had lost all the blood from it. No, impossible. Lady Suzaku clearly likes the king, otherwise why else would she kill off all those females who tried to seduce his majesty? And why is she acting like a little wife before the queen? You are called Jun Ruching. Suzaku's snarl has now formed an intimidating smile, thus allowing the bloodthirsty light to practically shine out of her iris. What, do you have an opinion about my guest? Widening her eyes in disbelief, the fox woman ends up stumbling backwards till she finally falls to the floor. I wouldn't dare. Not dare. Suzaku's smile was now baring teeth and releasing a suffocating aura of murder across the landscape. You're already trying to frame her by saying she's here to steal the Demon Mountain's treasure. She is my guest, if she wants, everything here is hers to take. What else do you have to say for yourself? The horror on Jun Ruching's face only grew worse, the treasures in the Demon Mountain is hers to take. Why is Lady Suzaku treating this human woman so differently? Sister Suzaku, she likes my batty father, and slandered my mother about having multiple affairs behind his back. Looking up at the glamorous woman who only grew more furious with every word, Bai Xiaochen intends to add as much fuel to the fire as possible. Why are there so many people out there who wants to take my old pops away? Guest of the Demon Mountain, 7, that's so. Suzaku then raises a I got it smile, you want to use me to crush your rival, hence the reason why you framed me about liking his majesty. The fox woman wanted to back off again after that statement, sadly for her though, there's nowhere left to back off to due to the big tree in the back. Unfortunately, pressing a few steps forward, the vermilion bird changes her smile to a sinister one that raised all the hair against her victim. Suzaku, hate being used by others. Bang! In a sweep of her hand, a flaming ball of heat promptly flew out and smashed right into Jun Ruching's chest. You can all scram now. Shifting her sharp gaze to the elders next, by the way, tell sire that the queen will be staying at the Demon Mountain for a while. After saying that, Suzaku was just about to turn when guilt got the better of her. Remember to tell him this is Her Highness's will, she promised me to stay. In case the man would think I've kidnapped his family and come fight me for her. Making a meek smile, the first elder didn't want to go any deeper. All right, I will definitely report the truth to His Majesty. As for my goddaughter. Issuing out a long helpless sigh, you can do as you please with Ruching, I won't interfere or be involved anymore. Ho, downright rude in her response, Suzaku lays it down bluntly. You can't get involved even if you want. Now scram. For Di-tsang it's fear, for Bai Yan it's respect. However, for everyone else, she's not going to give a hoot about the rest. And sure enough, the members of the Demon Council promptly backed out of the mountain valley, leaving behind the still horrified fox demoness to fend for herself. Queen, how should we deal with this woman? Rubbing her chin, Suzaku asks. Still indifferent as usual, Bai Yan only shot a single glance at the person. You can do as you see fit. I need to go refine these ingredients while they are still fresh. I fear I won't have any time to deal with her. Okay, all smiles, then I will make sure she regrets the decision for the rest of her life. Jun Ruqing's iris magnified as a result of the intense fear, that voice shaking. No. I don't want to die. I beg you, please let me go. Despite the repeated pleading, the fox demoness actually broke out into a hysterical laughter afterwards. Queen, you will not be able to get what you want. Do you think that His Majesty really loves you? If not for you shamelessly giving birth to this brat, you think Sire would have accepted you? Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. Shut up. Suzaku's face got cold and murderous. In the next second, a gulf of flame promptly seeped out of the floor to devour Jun Ruqing's entire existence, burning her and searing that soul. Though the pain was so immense that it had completely distorted the woman's face, the look in those eyes were release and success. Not missing this strange behavior, Suzaku sneered and laughed at the target. You want to irritate me and have me kill you immediately? Too bad for you, it won't go as you wish. My vermilion flame can burn infinitely so long as I will it, all the while healing and damaging you at the same time. You can enjoy a month of this pain before I'm done with you, ha ha ha. Ah! From within the burning flame, Jun Ruqing's voice have already become hoarse and ghostly, making it all the more hair-raising as it resounded across the mountain. You will all pay for this. Pay for this, you hear me? Bai Yan, don't think for a second Suzaku can protect you forever on this demon mountain. There are plenty more like me who wants to be the queen. There is bound to be one who will take your life. While curses and the smell of burning flesh and soul made up the background, Bai Yan on the other hand never once turned back like she's oblivious to the torturous scene. Mother, looking up like he's worried for some reason, Bai Xiachen attempts to make some comforting words. Don't listen to that evil woman. Baddie father only have you in his eyes, I'm only second fiddle. Guest of the Demon Mountain, 8, Bai Yan went stiff over that sentence, her eyes showing a glint of surprise. Are you worried that I will be affected by the words of that person? Not answering for a while, the little steam bun appears to be troubled and was trying to think of a proper response. You silly, petting her son's hair, Bai Yan turns it around to comfort the boy instead. As if your mother I would be so easily manipulated by others. For some reason, when Bai Yan heard her son sentenced there, she had a strange feeling it's full of grief. Didn't you dislike him before, why you helping him so much now? Tilting that little head of his, it's true I don't like Baddie father. He not only bullies me, he also bit mother. I would never bite mother like that. It must hurt, right? In the eyes of this youngling, the biggest impression he has of Di Tsang was the fact that he forcefully kissed Bai Yan. Well, to him it only looked like a ferocious bite and nothing more. But, Bai Xiachen then bursts into a gleeful smile. Baddie father is able to protect mother. As long as he can protect you, then I don't care. Anyone who can protect you is fine in my book. That instantly brought on a wave of warmth into Bai Yan's heart. Smiling straight to her eyes, I'm so happy to have a son like you. Let's go, this time I must succeed in creating that pill. Once I do, I can then have an immediate breakthrough. K. Inside the Snake clan's home, an old man was currently sitting there with his knees crossed. Due to how weak that body was, one could barely tell he was alive if not for that small sound of breathing. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. Ancestor, I just got a message from Qing Shui. She is asking when she can come back. A middle-aged man asks after pushing open the door to this room. Note, Qing Shui is the other snake woman who wants to make trouble from that incident. Going bitter in his lip, the one known as the ancestor of these snakes could only close his eyes. I'm afraid, she can't come back anymore. Frowning over that answer, what is the meaning of this? Qing Yuan made a mistake, that's true and it's her problem, there's no reason for the entire snake clan to be involved. Does sire really intend to punish our entire family over one single woman's fault? Huh, snake ancestor just made a wry smile again. If only that was the case. Sadly, Qing Yuan had summoned me over during the confrontation, and I too made the mistake of moving against the queen at that time. Considering His Majesty's personality, you think he would let us off? But it's already been a few days since he returned to the demon realm. Ancestor, are you sure you're not overthinking this? The middle-aged man then chuckles slightly like he's not willing to believe what's happening. As if His Majesty would wipe out our entire snake clan for a woman. What's more, we're preparing to attack the celestial realm, why would sire weaken his own strength? The old snake shakes his head and shatters that illusion. Qing Feng, the man didn't come during this period, not because he couldn't, rather he feels no urgency to do so. Once he's done tending to the other matters at hand, he will definitely come dispose of our clan. After saying this, the said senior becomes too tired to keep his eyes open and closes them. And, considering the man's strength at the time, he could have easily killed me back then. Yet he left me alive, what for? It's to deal with me in person after he returns to the demon realm. Guest of the Demon Mountain, 9, that useless Qing Yuan, if she wants to be the queen then it can't be so blatant. Fortunately, our snake clan still have Qing Shui. If she can escape this calamity then the position will definitely be hers in the future. Qing Feng was ready to refute the ancestral snake again when a flustered voice from the outside interrupted him. Chief, this is not good. It's His Majesty. He's demanding your presence and is ordering you to crawl over to him. What? The middle-aged man shuddered at the news. It can't be, Ancestor is right and intends to wipe out our entire snake clan. Yes, Ancestor. Closing his eyes, the man bows his head in compliance before turning away for the door. The main lobby of the snake clan's home. Qing Feng had just stepped into the hall when he was immediately confronted with the peerless contour of the mentioned man. Sire. Trembling all over, the snakish individual hurries to scurry forward with no way to speak. Against that presence, all his excuses and words were lost in that instant. You snakes are really bold, you know, daring to touch my wife and child even. The cruel and bloodthirsty light beams out of Di Tsang's eyes as he spoke, or have the years of peace completely muddled the snake's awareness? The original snake family here was no more than slaves working under the protection of the demon realm, the lowest of the low. In fact, most of the other racial clans were free to give them a few kicks whenever they pleased, that's how low they were and how powerful the old clans were. For example, the dragon and phoenix race alone were enough to make the snake clan cry for mercy. Sire, this is entirely the fault of Qing Yuan. She has already paid the price. Clearly trembling in that voice, Qing Feng wanted to pray for some kind of help right now. Please have mercy on our clan. I promise none of our members would ever do something so foolish again like going after the position of being the queen. Di Tsang only sneered at that lie, as if a simple Qing Yuan would have the courage to do what she did. Don't think I wouldn't know. I'm perfectly aware of your entire clan's scheme by this point, including many others as well. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. Qing Feng was stiff as a rock over the last part. Why is His Majesty so heartless? It's common for a man to have multiple wives in this day and age. What's wrong with us wanting to send a member of our clan to his side? Someone come. Expressionless and unreadable, Di Tsang coldly calls out to his minions. Sire, please give your command. The leader of the group that came with him promptly answered. The snakes dare to scheme against the royal family. The crime is treason and shall be punished with death. None is to live today. None is to live today. That look, that tone, it's so cold and heartless that it's like the entire clan of snakes in the demon realm were dispensable extras. But in truth, they're not and would greatly cause a hurdle to his grand plan of invading the celestial realm. Even so. Their behavior has completely violated his bottom line, a step that never should have been taken. Sire. Qin Feng slams to the ground in a begging posture, please have mercy. Attacking the celestial realm requires a lot of manpower and the forces must be in great shortage. Our snakes will definitely be useful in your great plan, please forgive us this time and allow us to make amends. Guest of the Demon Mountain, 10, looking down at the middle-aged snake, Di Tsang's tone was cold and oppressive, do you know why I'm attacking the celestial realm? Startled there for a second, Qin Feng looks up in amazement over the strange question. It can't be, the reason is not because he's irritated by the hypocrites in that realm. Not missing the dilemma surrounding his prey's mind, Di Tsang's first reaction was to smile even more deeply, making his face all the more terrifying to those looking. It's because my wife wants to place the celestial realm under her feet, his voice rises to a domineering level, so, do you think I would let you snakes get away with harming her? For her alone, he's willing to turn heaven and earth to get what she wants. Now imagine the crime of trying to take her life. This snake clan was screwed. The sole reason he's making the entire demon realm attack the celestial realm is because his wife wishes for it. For a single woman? No. Raising that shocked head to meet Di Tsang's, this snake who now carries the burden of keeping his clan from utter destruction felt helpless and scared. Panic now reigns over his heart. I must inform Qin Shui of this, she must get away. The king is mad. For a single woman, for his queen, he's willing to sacrifice all of us. Your Majesty, I beg you to give me a few more days. Afterwards, I will personally come to the palace to meet my end. Banging his head hard against the floorboard, Qin Feng's forehead now riddles the ground with his oozing blood. Still cold and indifferent, Di Tsang was unmoved. I've returned to the demon realm for well over a few days already, any mercy I have is already given. We're finished. Despair now fills the snake's eye. He had wanted to take the last opportunity to inform Qin Shui to give up on getting revenge, but not even that was given. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. This time our clan is done for. Begin. Upon those words, the man's very existence seems to grow exponentially more dangerous, suffocating those that's unfortunate enough to be nearby. Yes, sire. Moving forward, the guards quickly surrounded the residence with no room for escape. This left Qin Feng utterly bitter inside, for he never thought such a day would come. Ignoring everything, their clan should have deserved better, especially when they're the ones who found the princess years ago. Sire. A voice suddenly rushes in from the outside, followed quickly by a flushed personal who clearly ran a long way. Sire, the queen has gone to the Demon Mountain. Slightly wrinkling his forehead, The one in the Demon Mountain would never harm her. But, the guard anxiously looks up like he's afraid to speak. Jun Ruqing claimed the purpose of Her Royal Highness coming to the Demon Realm is to steal the treasures from the Demon Mountain, that's why the elders are currently chasing up to her right now. Di Tsang's complexion sank until it's dreadfully dark. That oppressive aura was tangibly visible now, making it all the more frightening for the messenger. Then by the time the person wanted to explain the part about Suzaku already disposing of the mess, it was too late, the demon lord's already gone. This is bad. The messenger's face was ghastly pale. I didn't have time to finish the story yet, why did the king leave so quick? If His Majesty misunderstands and assumed the elders were going there to help that Jun Ruqing, then I will be the one responsible for the fault. Love, 1, First Elder. On the Demon Mountain, the First Elder was in the middle of rushing down of the place when he overheard the call from his brothers who were trying to keep up with his pace. Is there anything else you guys want to ask? One of the old men present hesitates for a while before asking, did you know ahead of time that Lady Suzaku wouldn't trouble Her Highness? Giving the rest a long look, the leader of this bunch eventually nods, confirmation their suspicion of why their leader would be so certain Jun Ruqing was lying back there. There are some things that can't be said in one go. Back then I was still very young, so I'm not entirely in on the full story. so only the state teacher does regarding the state of everything. However, I do know enough that Lady Suzaku would never harm the queen. The one who just passed us, is that the king? The man's face was terribly pale at the thought. It seems to be him, another elder gulped. Why do I have the feeling someone is going to suffer very soon? Under the glowing white light of the landscape on this demon mountain, the red burning flame that's created under the power of the vermilion bird was exceptionally out of place. This was the prison and punishment for the fox demoness. King. The fox painfully murmurs after discovering the purplish silvery figure that arrived just moments ago. In all honesty, she had thought the chance to meet this man would never come again, but that hope was merely her own illusion, for Di Tsang's gaze right now could only be called cruel and dangerous. In fact, it's downright dangerous in how bloodshot red it was, a typical angry beast that's ready to pounce at its prey and rip it to shreds. And sure enough, Di Tsang didn't wait and reached out to rip the woman out of the flames in one forceful tug of his power. Sire, I knew you wouldn't be so heartless to me. Giving a hopeful light in her iris, Jun Ruching was overjoyed at being freed from her burning prison. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. That's right, no matter what, I'm still the goddaughter of the first elder. There's no way the king would be so passionless. So you are Jun Ruching? The man's voice was low and hoarse that instantly captivated the woman. Sire, I've longed for you since the very first moment I saw you. Now that you've saved me, I can only repay the debt by bestowing myself to you. I will beam. From out of the blue, 2 hot rays of searing light shoots out of the man's hand and enters the fox demoness's eye, causing her to scream out in excruciating pain. But why? Trembling in the lip, her body recedes back to the old tree that had cornered her during Bai Yan's confrontation. Because of that blood seeping out of her eye sockets and the grief-filled face, that entire appearance now had nothing left of the seductive and charming image she portrayed to those around herself. Love, too, did you think that I pulled you out of Suzaku's flame was in order to save you? Di Tsang just sneered and held the woman in contempt. You bullied my wife, for that, even your death is not enough. I honestly wonder where people like you get the confidence from. Compared with the pain of her whole body, what hurts more was the crushing feeling within her ruined heart. Jun Ruching truly never expected that by falling in love with this man would send her down an irreversible path. Despite those eyes being blind already, in darkness was all she could see, the signature aura of the arrogant and domineering man still drew her face towards his direction. If Di Tsang married any other woman of the demon realm, then I could still bring myself to accept the fact, but that's a human woman. How can I possibly accept being outdone by a mere mortal? Because she is my life. Those who wish her harm or threatens her is the same as doing it to me. So, I can only crush and remove any threat that comes my way. The bloodthirstiness fully seeping out from Di Tsang's voice. Because, she is my wife. Ha ha ha. The fox demoness breaks out into a hysterical laughter, letting her body to shake due to the immense emotions flowing out. In truth, I never wanted the queen's position, I only wanted to be by your side. Why can't you satisfy my one simple request? Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. As Di Tsang slowly approached her, the oppressive might has left her completely unable to lift that head. You want to know? I can tell you. In light of that handsome and peerless contour, the only vibe coming off of this demon lord was a dangerous air that told those who looked at him to run. I promise to be with her for life, only her and I. Besides her, there will be no other woman. Originally Jun Ruching have already been hurt thoroughly to her heart, but those words were truly ruthless. It's equivalent to someone ripping the heart out and then riddling it with holes before stuffing it back in again. She could barely breathe as a result of that pain. Only her in this life. Ha! How many people out there can actually keep such a promise? Yet it's the king who makes this promise. Why can't the woman be me? If Jun Ruching had to choose, she would rather be dead instead of listening to these heart-wrenching words. I have said what should be said, standing before the woman in close contact now. Di Tsang's palm immediately materializes a transparent layer of white energy to rip out the woman's soul. Because of how sudden and how quick the act was, nothing had prepared the demoness from this, leaving her utterly clueless as to why she's once again being burned inside the flame. However, this time around the pain was way more intense and more penetrating. Suzaku is still too kind. Your physical body is blocking half of her powers. Without it, you will now experience pain several times that of before. Also, a month is too little for you, so I've taken the liberty to increase it. Now your soul is linked directly to the world itself. So long as the world lives, your burning soul will also continue to live. You should thank me for giving you eternal life. Love, 3, not far away inside a secluded cave, Bai Yan was currently awaiting the cauldron to finish its last stage of refinement with her eyes closed. Success! She cries out after getting the first whiff of the pill's aroma. Hurrying to get up from her seat, Bai Yan wasted no time in pushing the lid open and letting her eyes take witness to the marvel that's inside, 3 green beads with 3 bright red lines on the body. Try reaching Soul Dan pill. With this I can immediately have a breakthrough in my cultivation. Picking up the 3 precious pills, her lips inexplicably curled into a smile at the thought of being to use it on her son as well. That's right, Bai Yan nods. What about my son and little Rice? Oh, they went out to play by themselves, I am here to guard you. Smiling right up to her obsessive eyes, the glamorous woman promptly hooked her arms around Bai Yan's to close in the distance. Why can't I ever get enough of? Oh, the more I look, the more I like. Then just as Suzaku was about to continue the conversation in a different direction, mainly about themselves, a gloomy aura from behind catches her by surprise. Going stiff, she hurried to release that arm and shuddered backwards a step. Di Tsang, how come you are here? Ignoring the sour mood of her man, Bai Yan asks with a hint of surprise in that voice. I came to pick you up, of course. The man's terrifying air recedes as soon as he turns back to face his future wife. That wasn't something Bai Yan had expected. First looking at Suzaku's pitiful face, then back at Di Tsang, who clearly meant what he said. I promise Suzaku that I will stay here to accompany her for half a month, not to mention that I am looking for a quiet place to have a breakthrough in my cultivation as well. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. Okay, then I will accompany you here too. Evoking an evil grin, Di Tsang pulls at that dainty hand to bring his greatest desire into his embrace. Yen Yen, those that bullied and harmed have all been dealt with. I've also destroyed the snakes from back then. Now there's no one left to get in our way. Originally Di Tsang had expected gratitude and approval for his actions. After all, it was all for her sake. Sadly, his own assumptions only made the woman go completely dark in the face. Am I someone who tattles and complains to others? Bai Yan thought. This snake clan should have been destroyed long ago. Suzaku indignantly snorts, nothing but the most inferior of slaves out there, how dare they connive after the queen's position. I think you were rather late in doing it even. But that's about all she could say, for the cold hard glare from the man had shut that mouth up in an instant. You talk too much. After saying this, the man swiftly shifts his attention back to Bai Yan, those lips and eyes more and more charming, like he's deliberately putting on his best light. Yen Yen, I will take you to a place. Bai Yan was so taken aback by that sentence that she literally became stoned. Not giving her the chance for refusal, the man's arm has already wrapped around that waist and off they went together. Where are you taking me? Bai Yan frowns as they flew through the sky. You will know later. Brushing her silky hair along the way, the man's voice was hoarse and hypnotic. Knowing it's pointless to resist now, Bai Yan simply let it go and just followed along with whatever he has planned. It's not the first time he's done something so demanding, so it's futile to resist. Love, 4, read all over the mountain. this landscape was absolutely gorgeous in the number of bloodish flowers making up the ground. Di Tsang, why are you taking me here? Firmly held by the man, Bai Yan's hand felt warm and secure. Yen yen. Slightly cocking that chin to gaze at the surrounding, the man's domineering presence somehow weakens, our son told me already. What? Bai Yan became startled by the strange sentence and looked up. The story you told Xiachen in private, he has already passed it on to me. That little traitor. Gnashing those teeth, this poor mother never thought her most trusted baby would betray her like this. I admit that when I first approached you it was with purpose, but then. The man puts on the warmest and most sincere smile he could muster, I suddenly found out how important you truly are to my heart. In the past, men would only use their arrogance and power to forcefully entangle themselves around her. Therefore, this would be the first confession she's truly ever had. What do you want to do? Staring straight into those eyes, Bai Yan's heart thumped incredibly hard till it's erratic and abnormal. Give you peace in the heart. He knows that Bai Yan has never accepted him, all because, her heart didn't feel secure enough. She fears the same experience and pain from that abandoned girl in the story would occur on herself. Di Tsang, Bai Yan narrows her eyes, do you know what you are talking about? Give me peace of mind. Such words, does he think he could do it just by saying so? Perhaps able to perceive the inner thoughts of the woman, Di Tsang only smiled and worked to reassure that doubt. Do you think that I would abandon you one day if I have to choose between the demon realm or you? If so, I can prove it to you. I'm giving the entire demon realm to you. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases, this way those worries are no longer a concern. Di Tsang. Bai Yan's complexion sank, her voice cold, you are serious? I am always serious about you. I am always serious about you. These words continue to echo beside those ears like a ringing gong. The man's words blew apart beside Bai Yan's ear, causing her hands to clench into a tight ball of uncertainty. But I won't accept it. Dropping this reply, she wanted to leave right away and escape from this uncomfortable conversation. However, the male from the back didn't want to let it end like this and pulled her straight back into his grasp. Di Tsang, you. Bai Yan's eyes were angry, but those lips were smothered once again by the shamelessness of this male who wished to use action to prove his conviction. Enough. In one forceful push, she attempts to remove herself. Do you know what can make me feel secure? Fine, I will tell you today so you can stop having any illusions. I want power, strength that belongs to me. Only then can I feel safe and secure. From beginning to start, you never knew what I wanted. I understand then, you are right. However, for you, I'm willing to learn. Bai Yan's heart didn't calm down at all, only trembling harder till it's starting to hurt from fear. Closing those eyes, she now knows she has truly fallen for him and the last wall in her heart has crumbled. Unborn child, 1, Di Tsang, are you sure? Anything I want, you are willing to give me? Bai Yan looks deep into the man's iris, hoping to get some sort of clue as to whether or not she could believe his words. My life is yours, Di Tsang firmly grasped onto her hand and pressed it against his chest. Without you in this world, my life would become meaningless. Boom. Bai Yan's head just got blown apart by this sentence. From within the depths of her memories, she's got this strange aching feeling that someone's said the exact same thing before. If there is no you, what meaning is there to my life? Yen yen. Seeing the sudden change in complexion, Di Tsang hurries to examine the woman, his voice anxious with a trace of concern. Are you sick? Slowly, she opens her eyes again with a gorgeous smile that could enslave the world. Di Tsang, I am willing, be the queen of this realm. This time. She's willing to put down that guard of hers for real and would try to accept this man from the bottom of her heart. Yen yen, are you trying to trick me? Or are you? The man's hand trembled, making his movements stiff and awkward. Damn bastard. Bai Yan was now angry. Picking up her toes, the woman uses her lips to dismiss any doubt by making it clear what her emotions are. And as if that wasn't enough, she decides to push him down to take the top position. Di Tsang, if you don't believe it then I can take back my words just now. Also, the kiss is what you owe me. Scoffing a laugh to cover her own embarrassment, Bai Yan was just about to climb up from the man's body when a hand stretched upwards and pulled her back down. Then using this momentum, Di Tsang promptly rolled both their bodies around to let him be the one on top and her at the bottom. Oh Yan, how can I let go when you are throwing yourself at me like this? Transforming that snarky grin into a devious one, this demon lord was now ready to have a taste of the sweet nectar for real this time. Don't worry, I've already said hello to everyone around here, no one is going to come disturb us this time. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. Narrowing those mesmerizing eyes, Bai Yan also gets naughty in the tongue, but compared to being reactive, I rather be the party that's taking the initiative. Chuckling over that statement, then we're good then, I also like it when you are taking the initiative. 6 years ago, it was exactly this woman who took the initiative to do those blasphemous things while I was down, just that. At the thought of what they experienced and the unforgettable intimacy they shared back then, Di Tsang's lips inexplicably curved into a genuine smile of hopeful anticipation. And without disappointment, Bai Yan's next course of action was to use that perverse finger of hers to direct the man's lip to her own. The sensation could only be described as electrifying. Unlike the previous exchanges where only one side took power, this time they're both willing and seeking comfort from each other's existence. Unborn child, too, this would not be the first time the pair has had sex before, otherwise how would Bai Shechen come into existence? However, this time the conditions are different and that they're fully awake and aware of their situation. Clothes removed after that brief struggle to strip, the man desperately wants to make the female under him melt into his skin. Yan, you are not going to change your mind, right? He pauses at the next step of their union and asked with a hoarse voice of uncertainty. Regarding the man's insecurity, Bai Yan just couldn't resist and chuckled happily. To prove it to this fool, she then gives him another kiss on the lip to show her willingness. Boom! Painful. Clutching that head, Bai Yan has found herself standing on the battlefield again after closing and opening her eyes. There are corpses littering this barren landscape and the sky still stained with blood like the last, giving it an odd sense of beauty and cruelty. What the hell is this place? Why do I keep getting these visions and of the same picture? If the last was the result of making a contract with Little Rice, then what about the other times? Also, this time is while I'm still awake, this can't be right. Looking a bit flustered now, Bai Yan searched the chaotic battlefield for any familiar figures that might recognize. Then that's when she froze from where she stood. Not far away, a peerlessly handsome face of a man had come into view. Covered in blood, this individual was currently embracing a woman that's lifelessly lying in his arms. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. Sire, the queen has already passed away, please. The rest of the soldiers are all on their knees, sadness permeating the battlefield as a result of their depressed atmosphere. Scram! A bestial form now takes over that voice as the man eyed his people around himself. She is not dead. I will never allow anyone to say such a thing, never allow it. Sire, the queen really is gone now. If you continue to go on like this, then what about the demon realm? An old man nervously speaks out after mustering up his courage. Boom! In one sweep of that hand, a powerful force slams against the old man's chest and causes him to stumble backwards. You shut up. If I say she's not dead, then she's not dead. If you keep making false accusations of her well-being, then I will tear you to pieces, do you hear me? Shuddering over that threat, none of the soldiers present would dare speak out again, their heads hanging so low that it's literally down to their chest. Bai Yan wasn't far away from all of this, so she just kept watching, and the more she watched, the more shocked her eyes are becoming. Why was that? Simple. There's no foggy haze blocking those faces, and she could recognize exactly who it was. Di Tsang. That is Di Tsang. And the other one is me. Retracting that attention from the one who spoke earlier, the blood-covered man returns his gaze back to the pale-faced woman in his arms that's clearly without life. However, instead of the violent and ferocious air he presented to everyone else, there's only a deep level of affection in that face. You promised me before that we would always be together and that you would give me 100 little foxes. You can't leave me like this. His hand gently stroked the woman's face after saying those words, his smile full of warmth and sadness. Unborn child, 3, do you remember the first time we met? I never thought I could fall so madly in love with you on first sight. That's when I knew you had to be my one and only love of my life. But it seems I was too late in coming into your life. Your attention was always on the person next to you. In order to make an impression, I did the only thing I knew how and kept bullying you. I knew that would only cause you to resist me further. So why are you leaving me so soon after I went through such lengths to win your heart? Without you, my life has no meaning left to it. The man's footsteps were awkward and staggering by this point. Nevertheless, the grip around that cold body of the woman in his arms never once loosened, like it's the only way to keep his sanity intact. Sire. I won't say it for a third time, scram. Another old elder impatiently speaks up despite the warning, Sire, what about the demon realm? If you leave. Demon realm? The man started to laugh hysterically till his voice echoed across the sky. In this quiet battlefield, if not for the demon realm, if not for you bunch of fools, my wife would not have abandoned me. Damn you all. Damn every single one of you. But I won't kill you all. Not because I don't want to, no. But because I don't want my wife's sacrifice to be in vain. However, that doesn't mean I will forgive any of you. In this lifetime, I never want to see anyone from the demon realm again. After leaving that behind, the man continued to walk towards the endless wasteland which lies ahead of this location, his mouth constantly trickling out with blood. But in the end, the injuries and pain were too much for his soul. Crashing to the cold hard ground with his knees scraped as a result, he throws up a big mouthful of blood to indicate how weak his body was. In fact, merely supporting his own weight has become an enormous effort in itself. Di Tsang. Bai Yan's heart ached profusely at the painful sight. Sadly, when it came time for her to reach out with that hand in order to grab the man's arm, it merely went through like an illusion. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. It's the same as the last time again. I can't touch anyone in this space, just like that vision with Little Rice. You have left me so many times already, and every time I have somehow managed to make it in time. But this time, it seems I can no longer find you again. The man's face leaked out a dreary smile as he laid the precious body to the ground, but don't worry, even if I have to exhaust all my life and energy, I will make it so that you can have another opportunity at being reincarnated. After saying that, the man then rests his hand on the lower abdomen of the woman's belly where there's an obvious bump of a small life yet to be born. I remember when you named this little fox on that day. You said you hoped the baby would be as bright as the morning sun, that's why you named him Xiachen. Thankfully you are pregnant, giving me the chance to reshape your soul. Note, for anyone wondering, unlike Western names that's only intended to be unique, Chinese names are always meant to have a specific meaning instead, even if it sounds like the most common name around. Even if it costs me my life, I will definitely make you anew again. The following words were deaf to Bai Yan's ear at this point. She's shaking because of how unbelievable things were. Xiachen. The unborn child, he is also called Xiachen. Tightly pursing her lips, tears flowed out of those pained eyes with no control from the host. Special existence, 1, so it turns out Xiachen is my child in the past too. But I failed to protect him, causing him to miss out on his chance to see the world. Yen Yen, a familiar ring beckons beside her ear, causing the scene in front of Bai Yen to fluctuate and distort until it's completely dissolved into the darkness. Slowly opening those eyes after coming back to reality, a trickle of tear now flows down the side of that cheek. Di Tsang, suddenly throwing herself into the man's arm after saying that, she tightly clutches onto the one in front like the physical contact was the only way to keep her unsettled heart from losing itself. If you don't want to then I won't force you. Stroking her silky black hair, the man dons a comforting smile in response, in any case, you are mine sooner or later, I'm in no hurry. The pain from the vision still lingers, causing excruciating pain inside. Di Tsang, I want to see Xiachen, can we go back? Raising her face up to meet his, 2 droplets of tears teeters along the lash to make that plea all the more effective. Okay. Pulling her into a tighter embrace, he too appeared distressed at the moment. He's seen many sides of this woman in his arms, but never a weak front like right now, making it all the more disturbing for him. When Bai Yen and Di Tsang returned to the Demon Mountain, the painful screams of Jun Ruqing were long gone from the air. Instead, the fox woman's soul now curls into a fetal position inside the burning flame, her eyes the only thing showing the hatred she held for the ones responsible for the pain she's experiencing. Of course, Bai Yan's aware of the venomous gaze coming her way as they flew by in the air, but that's of no concern to her now. She couldn't afford to wait any longer and only wanted so dearly to see that familiar steam bun in her arms again. At the moment, outside the hut where the boy should be, Bai Xiachen and Little Rice was currently chasing each other around in playful glee when the boy was suddenly picked up from behind. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. Likely able to sense the familiar scent, he immediately looked up to find Bai Yan's pale face that shocked him. Mother, what's wrong? Is it baddie father bullying you again? That only warranted a tighter hug. Mother? The boy continues to blink that big blue eye in confusion. What happened to mother? Why do I have a feeling that it's the same as when she contracted Little Rice, like I've missed something important? Son, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. Rubbing her own cheek against the boy's, she sounded painfully apologetic with that whimpering. I couldn't protect you before and deprived you of a future, but I won't let that happen again. I won't let anyone hurt you again. Thank you for coming back into my life again. Mother, I can't breathe. Flushing red from having his poor lung squished, the baby cries out in protest. Oh, I'm sorry. Hurrying to loosen her own grip, I got too emotional there. Mother, can you tell me what happened? I can help carry some of your weight if you do. Flashing bright in those innocent eyes of his, Bai Xiachen attempts to act like the little man that he was. Special Existence, 2, It's nothing, gently rubbing her son's head, mother just loves you too much. Although Bai Xiachen didn't know what happened still, but Bai Yan's words were more than enough to make his smile glowing. I also love mother very, very much. Under the brushing of the breeze, Di Tsang's complexion promptly grew dark after hearing the interaction of this mother and son. In particular was when Bai Yan gave Bai Xiachen a kiss on the forehead at the end. Mother. Noting the gloomy mood oozing off of his old man then, the baby boy subconsciously squirmed closer into his mother's chest for safety. Baddie father is very scary. What are you doing in trying to scare my son? Bai Yan's scolding voice shoots over without a second of delay. Yeah, you didn't do anything all right, but who could bear taking that gaze of yours? Lady Suzaku murmurs in complaint from somewhere. If you scare him again, Bai Yan narrows in her eye dangerously, I will take my son and run away from home. Di Tsang's face just went charcoal black over that remark. How can this woman use running away from home as a way to scare me? Yet it was precisely this threat that has left him in a bind. Say you love me, then I won't scare him in the future. Bai Yan's eyes are full of smiles. Then, are you being jealous of your own son? I want to hear. Di Tsang slowly approached further, letting his overbearing momentum to give weight. I want to hear you say this to me. Gently caressing her chin, Bai Yan squints those eyes like she's contemplating the idea. that will depend on your performance first. If you can really stop scaring my son, then I will say that to you. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. The man didn't answer right away. Instead, his sight now falls upon the baby boy in the woman's arms still. Alright, I promise you, but first I want to take some interest. In one pull of his hand, the woman once again falls into his grasp and allows their lips to make contact. He just couldn't get enough of this experience ever since their first kiss. While the couple were having their sweet, oh so sweet kiss, Bai Xiachen on the other hand was fuzzing up like an exploded cat that's had his tail stepped on. Batty father is biting mother in front of me again. Fortunately little Rice was a quick thinker. Jumping up in haste, the little tiger hurries to cover the kid's eye from the naughty picture that shouldn't be shared with little boys. Di Tsang. Bai Yan rapidly pushes herself away and angrily reprimands the man. Your son is still here. Isn't he afraid of teaching our son bad habits by doing such lewd things in front of our son? Pricking his brow, Di Tsang then shifts his gaze over to the boy. Don't you want a sister? Electrified by that question, Bai Xiachen immediately shook off the tiger's paw and revealed that sly smile of his. Batty father, have fun with mother, okay? Me, little Rice and sister Suzaku will go play somewhere else. Before turning away, he didn't forget to drag little Rice away as well by the tail. Bai Yan on the other hand was left flabbergasted. Widening those beautiful eyes like she didn't know her own son, the woman just stood there with the gentle wind blowing against her hair. Di Tsang, you, but no further words could come of that mouth. Blocked by a ill-behaving tongue, her heart jumped a beat like it's about to explode. Demon Realm. Within a dark cave, a certain individual was currently sitting cross-legged on the ground with his back facing the entrance. As a result of the strange fog obscuring that face, it became absolutely impossible to see what the man looked like lest they go up front. Special Existence 3. Sounds of footsteps soon interrupted the silence here. What are you doing here? Walking into the cave was a woman wearing an emerald green dress. Just that in comparison with Qin Luan who tried to kidnap Bai Xiachen and his friends back at the human world, this one carried more of a frosty air around the eyebrows. My family, the entire snake clan has been destroyed. Qing Shui grew bitter and cold in that voice. It was destroyed by the king. I know, the man wryly smiles, considering his majesty's means, he will never let anyone from the snake clan escape. Aren't you afraid of being discovered by coming to see me? I want you to help me. The snake woman's eye grew sharp and seething. In this world, only you can help me now. The man's body went stiff like a rock, his gaze staring intently at the woman trying to tempt his desire. Qing Shui, wouldn't it be better if you let go of the past and start over? Ha! The snake demoness only sneered in return. You don't understand love at all. A person like His Majesty is unforgettable once met. Not understand? How can I not understand? The man's fist tightly clenches into a ball. If not for our bond, would I have helped you escape from death even if it meant going behind the king and everyone else? The king and queen are destined to be together, that's something the state teacher and elders agreed upon. What can you do in this case? The man smiles helplessly, still trying to persuade the other side to abandon the obsession. What fated pair? The king is a fox, and she is just a low-standing human mortal. How can she be worthy of the king? Qing Shui's eyes were bloodshot red now. I refuse to believe it, refuse to believe I would lose to someone like that. If you don't help me today, then I will die in front of you. In one draw of her sword, the snake woman holds herself hostage by pushing the blade next to her neck. In this world, only he can help me. Qing Shui. The man was both anxious and angry. Are you threatening me? I'm out of options. You are the only existence of your kind in this world. I'm afraid aside from me and the state teacher, there's no other who would know about you. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. The man's body froze right then and there. Making a bittersweet smile after a good minute later, true, the state teacher created me all for the sake of taking the king's place during a critical moment. And with the king's arrogance, he would never allow someone like me to exist if he finds out. But don't forget though, my job may be to die in the king's stead, but that doesn't mean I would turn my back on the demon realm. Years ago, meeting Qin Shui was nothing more than an accident. However, it was precisely this accident that's managed to console the loneliness in his heart. But to betray the demon realm? There's no way he could do that. I just want to be this world's queen, and I'm not asking you to betray the demon realm. Despite Qin Shui's tone softening up, the sword beside her neck remains firm nevertheless. Can you help me? As long as I am the queen, I will definitely find a way to make it so you can appear before the public. I know His Majesty would do anything I say when he's such an affectionate man. By then you won't have to worry about your own existence being erased by him. For fear of the man rejecting, she continues to dangle her bait with no room for rebuttal. The Queen's Coronation. 1. What's more, don't you hate state teacher? If it weren't for him, you would not be so miserable. Even if you, Qin Shui. The man stood up, his eyes gazing down at the woman who's been with him for hundreds of years. Fine, I will help you, but only for this one time. Whether or not you can get the king's heart will be up to yourself. That immediately brought on a smile to the demoness, causing that firm grip to finally loosen around the neck. Thank you, I just knew you would help me. Demon Mountain. After her success in refining the tri-reaching Soul Dan pill, Bai Yan's been intending to seclude herself for the impending breakthrough. Sadly for her though, Di Tsang-hasa beat her to the punch by openly announcing the date of the coronation to the public, thus causing her to delay that plan until after the ceremony. Yet not all were happy of course. Unfortunately for these brave souls, their feet couldn't even make it to the palace gate before they were shooed away by the soldiers in charge. Sister-in-law, Di Shaowan blinks and blinks over how leisurely the woman in charge was acting despite the fact that the coronation was just around the corner. Tomorrow is your coronation as the queen, shouldn't we leave this mountain and go prepare like all the rest? Giving a stretch like a lazy cat, Bai Yan dismisses the idea. No need to hurry, it will be fine tomorrow. Oh right, where did that friend of yours go, that Huang Xiaoying? Di Shaowan didn't reply immediately like her usual self, only showing a vigilant and alarmed look. Sister-in-law, why are you thinking about that girl all of a sudden? Am I not good enough? I'm just asking out of curiosity and boredom. The lazy woman then caresses her chin like she's thinking of something bad. To be quite honest, she didn't hold any disgust towards Huang Xiaoying at all. If not for Little Rice not liking the girl, she would be quite happy to make her a good follower of hers in fact. But sister-in-law, that Huang Xiaoying is a sweet dumbaklutz, you mustn't like her okay? You only need to like me and that's enough. That damn brat, it wasn't even all that long ago where she got tricked by that Jun Ruqing. Now she wants to stick around my nephew and sister-in-law. Dream on. I won't give anyone that chance to steal them away. Gnashing her teeth, the demon princess now has the tigress blacklisted. Auntie, Bai Shechen timely sticks his head out from the side to speak, are you talking about yourself? That question promptly brought on a wave of grievance in the girl's heart. Xiachen, is this how you think of me inside? I'm a sweet dumbaklutz. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases now that's left the little steam bun in a bind. As much as he would like to not hurt his auntie there, but the good upbringing of an honest child still got the better of him, which in turn manifested as an unbearable nod. Clack. Di Shaowan actually heard her heart shattering apart right there and then. In one full burst of grievance, she openly cries with tears flowing out, sister-in-law. Your son is bullying me, is that right? How come I didn't see it? Casting a look at the little steam bun next to her, Bai Yan just smiled like it didn't happen. Sniffling her nose, brother is bullying me, and now these two are bullying me too by joining forces. You too, the waterfall doesn't stop, I'm going to have a baby of my own too. Then my baby can help me, humph. The queen's coronation, too, in the heart of this demon princess, her son could only be as clever and sensible as Bai Xiachen. Therefore, it's natural that her son would come to her defense when she's being bullied. Unfortunately, by the time her son was born, that's when she realized what the true meaning of favoring outsiders versus one's own side. Not only did she not get an extra helper, the dastardly boy had turned around to help Di Tsong's family to bully her. Handy, Bai Xiachen gives the princess a pat on the shoulder. If you want to have a son, you must first find a husband who's willing to have one with you though. Have you seen someone making a baby by themselves? Mother, I am so hungry. The boy turns to Bai Yan for help. I want to eat red roast meat made by mother. Okay, I will make it for you. Giving her son a pinch on the cheek, she puts on a spoiled smile as she got up from the couch. Let's go. Bursting into a gleeful grin, the baby boy didn't dally. Hurrying to match his mother's speed, he tightly holds onto her hand to leave the moping princess in the background. Because of the coronation ceremony that's about to take place tomorrow, the whole palace was abuzz with noise. But compared with the jubilant air of the palace though, the females who adores Di Tsong were all left heartbroken. As a result, there were in fact a shortage of young maidens attending. Their excuses were they're sick and such. Of course, this group was considered to be the smarter ones, for the other group were still clinging on to the idea of stealing the position of queen from the human mort. Inside one of the palace courtyards, a little girl of innocent demeanor struggles to move forward by clinging onto the wall. Compared to the daughters of the various families in attendance, there's not a single maid or servant to help this girl in question. Even so, this toddler-sized girl continues to walk before being blocked off by another figure. Second sister, she politely calls out to the one in front. Who is your second sister? The one blocking the young toddler was a sharp-looking maiden that carried the look of shame and disgust. If you dare call me your second sister again, I will cripple you right now. But you are my second sister. The little girl's eyes were innocent and untainted. I didn't make a mistake. The people around them only snickered with laughter after hearing this. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. So this is the little lady of the dragon family. I heard she can't even walk properly yet despite her age, and doesn't understand anything. Che, this little lady is a fool, plain and simple. Moreover, her age is not much different from the second lady over there either, just that she never grows for some reason. Huh, if I have such a sister then I will be mad too. Although the little girl could hear everything from her distance, but based on that confused look and clueless demeanor, it's obvious she didn't get the meaning. Second sister, what am I doing wrong? You shut up. The lady roars out with rage. I really don't know what father is doing. I can't believe he would let you come participate in the queen's coronation. It can't be. A wench like you is also conniving after the consort position. The queen's coronation. 3. What is a consort? Can you eat it? The little clueless girl then salivates at the mouth like she's already imagining how delicious the object was. Second sister, I'm hungry. That immediately brought on a wave of laughter from the crowd again. This young missy of the dragon family really is a fool. Eat, eat, always only know how to eat. Watch you die from having your tummy blow up from overstuffing it. A touch of disdain flickers out of the bigger lady's eye. However, the likes of you could never become the king's consort. If you dare to make a grab for that post against me, then I won't let you off the hook. The position of being the queen has already been taken, but there are still other empty seats up for grab. Sire never took any other woman until now, so there's a good chance there. What man doesn't play around? A few wives here and there is common and accepted. Why are you looking at me like that? I'm going to tear you to shreds if you keep eyeing me. An existence like you will only tarnish the name of us dragons. Reaching over to pinch the little missy's arm, this older sister's actions were truly brutal. If not for father watching over you, I would have already driven you out of the family. Now get out of my sight before I get mad. All teary and pained, the one known as the Fool of the Dragon family didn't dare to plead for mercy. No matter how slow she was in the head, this little missy still knew crying for help here in these situations would do no good and would only warrant further punishment. Stop! It was then an infuriated voice came from behind, causing the instigator of the scene to jolt back in haste like a guilty criminal. Among the group that arrived, the most striking had to be reddish figure at the forefront. The woman was dashing and enchanting in how beautiful her contours were. Truly peerless and unmatchable that has left these people breathless. But then it didn't take long for everyone's attention to shift to the little steam bun holding the woman's hand. Adorable like a doll, the boy's no different from a treat to the eye. Now they know, this had to be their future queen and prince, otherwise who else could they be? Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. Today is my sister-in-law's coronation day, who gave you lot permission to make trouble inside the palace. Stepping forward to inquire for the details, Di Xiaowan hurried to pull the little missy to the side for protection. Mother, I feel so sad for this little sister. Look at her arm, it's all bruised up already. Tugging at his mother's sleeve, Bai Xiachen eyes the dragon girl with a pitiful look. Bai Yan didn't move right away, only rubbing the boy's hair to soothe his discomfort. Things simply didn't add up. For one, this little girl that's being picked upon was obviously from the dragon family. And as everyone knows, dragons are a race of great pride and power. Merely out of respect and fear, these other attendees from the other clans should have stepped in to help, not join in on the mockery and ridicule. Tell me what happened. Soft in her tone, Bai Yan turns to the small little one for an answer because those big innocent eyes could tell no lie. It's too pure and innocent, unlike the mean and cruel ones portrayed by the older sister. Second sister stopped me earlier when I was walking, and when I called out to her, she got angry and yelled at me. Did I do something wrong? She is my second sister, so I don't see the problem. All sad and confused, the little missy drops her head like someone who's made a mistake. The queen's coronation, for you. The bigger girl angrily stamps her feet in frustration over being pointed out by the younger sister. My queen, this girl is nothing more than a fool. I'm afraid her existence alone will pollute the palace. We should drive her out of here lest she tarnishes someone of your status with her own. Before coming, their father has already mentioned the part about currying the favor of said queen if she wishes to become a consort, otherwise, the idea would be out of the question according to the information they gathered. Gazing down at the wench, Bai Yan dons a cold sneer of contempt. In my opinion, the one who's tarnishing the palace with their existence is you. Guards, toss this one out of the palace, I don't want to see her. The bigger girl just popped her eyes in disbelief. How can she toss me out? Does the queen know already, about me wanting to become a consort? Queen, you can't do this. Does the king know of your actions? I am a member of the prestigious dragon family, there's no way his majesty would agree with this. Bai Yan simply snickered her tongue in return when the lady's being dragged away. If I can't even expel a person that I deem necessary, then I might as well forget about continuing the coronation. There's a saying that there's always no fear when being pampered, that's why she knows Di Tsang would never blame her regardless of the trouble that arises. However, that's not something the public knew though. No longer mere astonishment over the human woman's beauty, everyone's initial disdain of a mere mortal now changes to admiration and applause. It's common knowledge that no one in the demon realm could stand up to the king, let alone go against his will or orders. It's okay now, Bai Yan turns to look at the little missy. If you are worried about going back, then you can stay with us. As it so happens my son is missing a playmate. Blinking those untainted big eyes, the girl eventually moved her attention to the little steam bun. Little brother, you are so good looking. Instead of being happy over that compliment, Bai Xiachen only had the face of a bleak male that got his ego stepped on. I am a man, a man. You can't use that word to describe me, you know. Then what am I supposed to call you? Tilting that head in confusion, she asks. You should be boasting me as cute, he answers with a serious and earnest tone. Bai Yan just couldn't take it anymore. Twitching hard in the corner of her mouth, so good-looking is a no-no, but cute is a go. Well that's a first. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. What is your name? Touching the little missy's head, Bai Yan asks with sweetness in her voice. My father calls me Dragony while the other members of the clan calls me Little Young Miss. What about your mother? Oh, my mother calls me the little fool. Bai Yan's heart shook in that moment. All of a sudden, sadness grips her innards as she eyed the young little lady that's looking straight up at herself. In the future, you will stay with me and no one will bully you anymore. Bai Yan then turns to look at the demon princess nearby. Go tell your brother to inform the members of the dragon clan that Dragony will be staying with me for the time being. Everyone was shocked and stunned. The queen dares to treat the princess as her own little follower. And, the princess is actually smiling while carrying out the order. The queen's coronation. 5. Sister-in-law, I will go right away to tell him about the situation here. However, the people in the demon realm are like wolves, I'm worried about leaving you alone with them. While in her moment of struggle, Di Xiaowan inexplicably took notice of the familiar figure slowly walking over from the front, Huang Xiaoying. The tigress actually froze for a bit at being waved down by her friend. Nevertheless, the startlement quickly changed to excitement upon seeing the much sought-after individual. Little Rice. Like a butterfly, she flutters over in gentle finesse. As for the baby white tiger in question, the poor thing nearly fell out of Bai Xiaoqin's arms after being awoken by the dreadful voice. You stop right there. Huang Xiaoying. Di Xiaowan was pissed at her friend's shameless embarrassment. I didn't call you over just so you can flirt with your boyfriend there. Oh, the tigress tilts her head as she turned to her friend, then what do you need me to do? Making a proud and arrogant face like her brother's, the demon princess puts up an image of someone in charge. I'm going to leave for a little bit. During this period, I want you to watch over my nephew and sister-in-law. If anyone dares to provoke them in any way, you are to give them a good lashing. Provoke my mistress? The tigress immediately swelled up with anger. Who dares to provoke my mistress? I will not let them off. Di Xiaowan's face was black. When did my sister-in-law become her mistress? However unwilling and displeased as she was over that claim, the princess knew the coronation was more important than to argue on the matter. If it was in the past, she would have gone all out with this Huang Xiaoying. I am leaving, Di Xiaowan said that with some reluctance in her voice. Also, don't forget sister-in-law is mine. If you try to fight me for her then I will tell brother to reference you a man at random so that you be married off promptly. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. Huang Xiaoying just gawked her mouth in surprise. This princess is using her power to bully others. How can she use her almighty brother to do that? Compared with the tigress's crying expression, Little Rice's reaction was a sparkling look of ecstasy. That's a wonderful idea. If this Huang Xiaoying gets married then she will stop entangling herself with me. But when the baby white tiger wanted to add a few words to help push the idea, it was too late. Turning around to wave her goodbye, Di Xiaowan immediately disappeared from the spot and into the sky. The entire back garden was now an eerie silence. In addition, the view these attendees were shooting over were no longer that of envy or awe, it's fear, for she could command the infamous demon princess to do her beckoning. Little Rice. Ignoring them all, Huang Xiaoying continues to put on a shy face. Today my father and grandmother also came. Oh, but what does that have to do with me? Little Rice snorts and asked. Of course it matters, my grandmother wants to see her future grandson-in-law, that's why I came. Grandson-in-law? Poof, that finally scared the daylights out of the baby tiger, causing the poor guy to falter right out of Bai Xiaoqin's arms before jolting right back in there with sob and tears. Mistress, little master, you must save me, I don't want to marry this woman. Woohoo. The Queen's Coronation, 6, in order to calm the feline down, Bai Yan gently caresses that fur up and down. Don't worry, I won't force anyone on you if you don't like them. However, if you do want to get married in the future, no one will stop you either. I won't, I will never want to marry her. Little Rice's expression looked aggrieved then. I only want to follow mistress for the rest of my life, I will never marry and have a family. Huang Xiaoying didn't look defeated by that proclamation though, rather she's all smiles and hopeful. But hubby, our mistress already said it, you will eventually want to get married too. I'm in no hurry, you will be my hubby sooner or later anyways. That instantly sends a shudder down the baby tiger's spine. Just the thought of marrying this tigress was enough to scare him. This is too intense. She's the little lass of the dragon family. Huang Xiaoying's eyes were very big after discovering Dragonese existence. Mistress, did you kidnap her from the dragon clan? She is called Dragony, so say hi. All smiles, Bai Yan gazes down at the little girl she's protecting. Don't worry Dracony, no one is going to hurt you anymore. Making the cutest smile she could muster, the little girl gives a heavy nod before turning to the tigress. Beautiful sister, you can call me Dracony. What a good little Dragony, let sister give you a big kiss. In one huge sweep, Huang Xiaoying promptly leans down to give that adorable cheek a smooch. While Bai Xiachen would never deny a kiss from his own mother, it's a very different story from another female, especially from this tigress that has left a slobbering trail of saliva on Dracony's face. Out of a sense for survival, the little boy instinctively hides behind Bai Yan's leg to keep himself at a safe distance. It's getting late, let's go. Making puppy eyes, Huang Xiaoying cries out with both expectation and tension, can I go too? Halting her footstep, fine, but you can't scare little Rice. Okay, thank you mistress. As a result of her happy mood at being accepted, the tigress's entire existence was exuding joy. And do not call me mistress. Yes, queen. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. This time the Huang Xiaoying didn't insist, only puckering her lip a bit out of being denied once again. Nevertheless, her excitement and desire to continue onto this path just grew firmer than ever. Not far from the palace, there's a grand structure used by the various races to settle while they are in the capital. The building was built out of necessity because the chiefs of the clans are required to enter the palace every few months. It's almost time, I should enter the palace soon to participate in the queen's coronation. Sitting inside the dragon wing was a man called Long Chang Tian, the current chief of the dragon clan. Note, Long is dragon in Chinese and also the guy's surname. Husband. It was then the door to the room was pushed open by a dainty hand belonging to a white-haired woman of gorgeous contour. I just heard you let the little fool enter the palace, is that true? Making a helpless sigh as his brow wrinkled up into a knot, Long Chang Tian turns to his wife in displeasure. Dragony is your biological daughter, why do you have to keep calling her the little fool? Do you know how hurtful that is? The Queen's Coronation, 7, Ho, Zhang Rui sneered as she evoked those lips into a satirical smile. It's not like she would understand me anyways when I call her that, but that's beside the point. Didn't we agree on letting Xiaoya enter the palace to become a consort? What if that little fool botches it for her sister by tagging along? That little fool only knows how to make trouble all day and night, I don't get why he must persist in letting that girl enter the palace. Damn it, did you forget the prophecy made by the family elders? Dragony is destined to become extraordinary since her birth. She may not be soaring now but I know she will eventually do so. Taking another sip from his teacup, Long Chang Tian casually reminds his wife. That did not sit well with Zhang Rui at all. Shaking all over from annoyance, if it wasn't for those blasted elders then I wouldn't have had such high hopes for that little fool to begin with. The bigger the expectation, the bigger the disappointment. How could a fool soar in their lifetime anyways? The dragon woman was left utterly stunned by her husband's word. Sneering after the initial stupor, as if that could ever happen when Xiaoya is so outstanding. If my daughter could not enter His Majesty's eye, then there's no way that little fool could do it. I don't care, you go pick that girl up right now, I will not allow her to ruin Xiaoya's future. Towards that little fool, her feelings have already changed from disappointment to disgust. In fact, if not for the girl being her own biological daughter, this Zhang Rui would have choked her to death already in order to protect the reputation for their clan. Enough. Long Chang Tian snaps, slamming the table with his hand as she stood up. Talk about being short-sighted. No matter it be Xiaoya or Dragony, both are our daughters. If either one of them can get into His Majesty's eye, then it will undoubtedly help our clan into becoming an existence second only to the royal family. The dragon woman didn't refute her husband's claim despite having different opinions. You should go prep yourself too, I will be entering the court soon to greet the king. Long Chang Tian's tone sounded annoyed now as he waved his wife away. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. As unwilling as she was over this treatment, Zhang Rui knew she couldn't win this fight. Biting that lip, the dragon woman was just about to leave by opening the door when a pink figure plowed into her from the outside. Xiaoya, what happened? Did that little fool cause trouble again and made you take the blame? The mother groans at that possibility. Mother! Long Xiaoya cried in a miserable fashion, the fool humiliated me in public. All I did was reprimand her a bit and she directly complained to the queen. What? You met the queen, the queen. Zhang Rui exclaims, her eyes sparkling with uncertainty. When sending her daughter to the palace, she has already instructed the girl not to cross this supposed queen in any way because of Di Zhang's extreme fondness for Bai Yan. But who could have thought the meeting would happen so quickly and that it would turn out this way, much in thanks due to that little fool. Mother, the queen, she seems to know about my reason for approaching her. I bet she is likely afraid of me snatching the king's favor away, that's why she threw me out of the palace and forbade me from entering. All teary in her face, Long Xiaoya looked a little haggard after crying so much. The queen's coronation. 8. Zhang Rui's face instantly changed. How can she do that? Is the queen such a jealous person that she would drive you out just to keep the king from meeting you? Does His Majesty know about this? His Majesty wasn't present, of course. If he was, then I know he wouldn't have allowed it to happen. Lowering her eyes, the last departing words of Bai Yan continues to echo beside Long Xiaoya's ear. She didn't dare repeat those words again in front of her parents. Husband, the mother gnashes her teeth in frustration. The queen must be jealous of Xiaoya's beauty, that's why she expelled our daughter out of the palace. You must help your own daughter and not let that woman occupy the king by herself. If there is no consensus from the king, then do you think the queen would be so arrogant? By the way, where is Dragony? Why did she not return with you? The tearful girl immediately grew fierce and angry in the eyes at the mention of that little fool. She left with the queen. Long Chang Tian's iris sparkled with light at the knowledge. You mean Dragony is already by the queen's side? HMPF. Long Xiaoya grinds her molars in frustration. We've been blindsided by that little fool. She actually pretended to be sad and pitiful before the queen. Now not only did that woman have the pretext to expel me from the palace grounds, that mortal is also using the little fool to ruin me. Father, I've warned you before, now look what's happening. Enough, the father impatiently cuts off his daughter. It getting late. You two should clean up and get ready, we need to go greet the king at the court. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases that brought on great joy to the deceitful girl. Father, does that mean I can continue to enter the palace? Long Chang Tian gives a faint nod of confirmation. As long as the order didn't come from the king or princess, then it's fine. The queen is just a human mortal without a firm foothold in this world. As long as you stay by my side, then no one can touch you. Pausing then to go over his words, I'm afraid becoming a consort would be difficult now. However, I will definitely find a way to send you to the king's side. Whether or not you can succeed in winning his heart will depend on your own capabilities. Don't worry, father, I will definitely have the king accept me. Long Xiaoya puts on a happy smile. The king back then never experienced the joy of being with a woman and doesn't understand anything, but now, that gate has been pried wide open, so he will definitely understand. The palace of the king has always been heavily guarded, and out of respect for their lord and master, the chiefs of the various clans must be dismounted upon entry. Therefore, Long Xiaoya was already walking by her father's side long before they arrived at the gates. Why? Why are you people not letting me inside? I am the second miss of the dragon clan. Based on what authority can you lowly guards stop me from entering? The girl was furious at being blocked while her parents were easily allowed through. Miss, it's not I who is forbidding you from entering, it's the queen who banned you for life. One of the gatekeepers explained. The queen's coronation, 9, Long Xiaoya's face had gone from white to blue as more and more people gathered around to see what's the commotion all about. In the end, the girl could only turn to her father Long Changtian for help. Good sir, I'm her father and the current chief of the dragon clan, the dragon man says. I know you are the dragon chief. Have I not let you in already? The gatekeeper casts a glance at the man before turning back around. As for your daughter Miss Xiaoya here, I'm afraid the order stays since it came directly from the queen herself. Darkening a notch in his expression, the dragon chief's voice grew stern and heavy. I know the fourth elder of the demon council, he's a member of my clan. What? The dragon chief asks with a wrinkled brow. Dragon chief, your information network seems to be lacking. Although your dragon clan is far away from the capital and wasn't present when it happened, nevertheless, it's strange no one bothered to inform of you of the incident. Looking up and down like he's watching a fool now, the gatekeeper didn't bother to hide the fact he's enjoying the situation. Sire have made it clear that the Queen's command stands above all else and that even His Majesty must be taken in second. Do you still want me to violate the Queen's order now? Seriously, this chief from the dragon family is trying to ruin me. As if I would be so stupid to really listen to him or anyone else for that matter at this point. Impossible, this, under strain of this heavy news, Zhang Rui's eyes instantly went mad. But just as she's about to lash out to badmouth Bai Yan in front of the public, her father moved first and promptly covered up that mouth with his hand. I really didn't know about any of these things. Long Changtian's complexion was ghastly. He only knew the king was extremely fond of the queen but not to such an extent of spoiling the woman. Now that you know, are you going to have your daughter here leave or what? If the queen discovers this. The gatekeeper smiles threateningly, indicating to his sheathed weapon on what would happen if so. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. Xiaoya, go back. The father snaps, the voice stern and serious. Father. The girl pops her eyes with disbelief. This is my only chance. If I miss it, then the one standing beside the king will be the other women out there. Go back immediately. This is an order. Long Changtian's face turned dark and won't know for an answer. First giving a final stare up at the imposing structure of the palace, then back at the ground, Long Xiaoya knew she couldn't win this. Gritting her teeth, the girl turns away towards the other direction. What is so great about the queen? She's only the first woman of the king. In the future there will be countless more coming. I like to see her keep up that arrogant attitude by then. Husband, Zhang Rui was filled with resentment as she watched her own daughter leave from their spot. That woman is too. Shut up. The husband snaps at his wife as well. This is the palace, not our home. Do you not know the saying of calamity comes from the mouth? If you really get into trouble, you can forget about me helping you. The dragon mother immediately shuts her mouth as instructed. In light of that scared and whitish appearance, the only thought running through the woman's heart was curses and foul words at Bai Yan. Compared with the noisy commotion outside, the White Moon Palace was relatively quiet. If there's anything of notable disturbance though, it had to be the infamous Huang Xiaoying. The tigress was staring at Little Rice with infatuated eyes and refuses to budge until multiple gasps caught her attention. It was Bai Yan. Adorned with a peerless red dress of immaculate creation, this bride looked absolutely incredible with the thin layer of makeup powder on her already amazing contour. The Queen's Coronation, 10, it's over. The tigress hurriedly grabs onto her own chest as the wildly thumping heart goes wild inside. Mistress, I thought you were beautiful enough as it is, to think you could one-up yourself like that. Forget about the king, I think I'm falling in love with you as well. Huang Xiaoying. Di Xiaowan literally jumped with steam after hearing what the shameless tigress said there. Had you protect my sister-in-law, not hook up with her. If you ever say something like that again, then watch me tell my brother. After giving a hard stare at her competition, the demon princess then burst into amazement after turning to Bai Yan. Huh, aren't the feathers on your wedding dress from Suzaku? It can't be. Did my brother pluck her naked to make you this gown? In the mind of this bratty princess, the picture of a but-naked vermilion bird lingers and causes her eyes to show a glint of sympathy. Mother is so beautiful, Bai Xiachen then throws himself into Bai Yan's arm. Making a cute face with bright enamored eyes, now I don't want to let such a beautiful mother marry batty father anymore. Bai Yan simply chuckles at her son's remark. Pinching that cheek to show her love, you are so young still, how can you distinguish between beauty and ugliness? In my heart mother will always be the number one beauty in this world no matter the occasion. To show his affection even further, the kid uses those two tiny arms of his to wrap around Bai Yan's thigh like a clingy boy that doesn't want to let go. And sure enough, the act only brought on a sweet sugary feeling into the bride's heart. Bending down, she gives the boy a lovely peck on the cheek. My Xiachen is the cutest and most well-behaved boy in the world as well. Taking this all in from the side, Dragony was oh so jealous right now as she bit her thumb. Come here little Dragony. Waving the missy over, Bai Yan smiles warmly after seeing the envy in those eyes. Running over fast, the girl's pupil carried no blemish like a pure and clean pool of water. Queen, you are really beautiful, more beautiful than anyone I have ever seen. You are so sweet Dragony. Picking her up, Bai Yan also sends a peck onto the dragon girl's cheek. I have always been very good, never causing trouble. Queen, will you always like me like you do now? I'm sad that the elders and my parents just suddenly didn't like me anymore. Puckering those lips like someone facing grievance, her eyes are obviously being covered up in a layer of tears. She may not be the brightest bird around, even so, that doesn't mean her heart couldn't feel the attitude coming out of those people. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. As long as you behave like you do now, then I will always like you. Bai Yan literally felt her heart clenching up in pain over that question. Really? Lighting up in her face, Dragony looked absolutely adorable in that appearance. Queen, you treat the best. I promise I will be very, very good and not cause trouble for you. Sister-in-law, moping in her demeanor, Di Xiaowan was all sour inside. You never been that good to me though. Raising a brow, Bai Yan makes a teasing smile at that, then you don't have to hide behind me when Di Tsang comes to make trouble for you. Upon hearing this, Di Xiaowan immediately shuddered in horror before she realizes her own folly. Making the most flattering smile she could muster, sister-in-law, you are the best person in the world. Whoever dares to say you are not good, then I'm going to knock them off their socks. The Queen's Coronation, 11, Huang Xiaoying just hated the bootlicking image of her friend there. Making a disdainful grin, Princess, when did you become so hypocritical and without backbone? Unfazed, Di Xiaowan casually shifts her gaze over to fire back a retort. Oh, if you don't want to marry Little Rice, then continue having your backbone. These words were perfectly on target in poking at the tigress's weak spot. Jumping up like a frantic feline, princess, who is accusing you of not being good enough to her highness? Tell me now, I will go kill them this instant. Chastity. Dignity. Backbone. All of it can go to hell. What can be compared to marrying little rice? A humph. Queen, it's almost the time of the coronation. We should be setting off now, the female speaks in a respectful manner. Okay, Bai Yan slightly nods in return, it's been hard on you, fourth elder. Instead of getting a gratified smile in return, the female that's known as the fourth elder only showed fright and horror. Nearly taking to her knees at that moment, please queen, don't say those words to me. You are the queen of the demon realm, everything I've done so far is within my obligation and duty. Oh gracious horror, if his majesty hears of this and mistaken it as me not doing a proper job. Then lead the way. Bai Yan helplessly smiles and didn't want to argue on this point. Yes, queen. That finally brought on a sigh of relief to the elder. Wiping the cold sweat from her forehead, she gestures to the door. Sister-in-law, I will support you. Hurrying to chase over like a dog, Di Xiao Wan was all smiles then, you nearly scared fourth elder to death there you know. Bai Yan shrugged, I don't remember saying anything noteworthy or bad. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. That's because my brother is too powerful, causing everyone in the demon realm to fear and respect him. As his wife, you being too gracious might be interpreted as fourth elder not being polite and impatient. It's none of my business on what others think, but your brother. Chuckling at the mention of her husband-to-be, I know he will definitely not overthink this. As if I would tolerate anyone that's not polite to me. He knows well enough by now that the only outcome would be me tossing the rude ones out of here. The coronation ceremony of the Queen was most definitely a solemn and respected event. As such, it's been decided that the hosting location would be the open-air altar that's usually reserved for great festivities. For this reason, the venue had long been crowded with guests representing the various races. If not for the heavy number of guards stationed around, a riot might have already exploded due to how densely packed the area was. Thankfully the restlessness didn't last long after this. From above, a rainbow bridge suddenly emerged from the back and front, leaving everyone's eye ingrained with the fabulous picture. Oh wow, to think the Rainbow Bird clan would be mobilized for this coronation. Are they intending to use all of them to act as a bridge? Che, I guess that is the case. That bird family has never been all that strong, yet they're the most arrogant pricks of them all. If not for His Majesty's will, I doubt such a clan would willingly act as someone's stepping floor. I know, right? There's been many rumors lately about the king being extremely fond of the queen, but I didn't think it was to this extent. Now that I'm seeing it firsthand with my own eyes, it seems those rumors aren't rumors at all. Murmurs and gasps were rampant among the guests. They were all blown away by the grand display of this ceremony and grew extremely curious on who could possibly cause such fascination in their king. Want to marry the queen? 1, 2 figures soon came into view of everyone's eye, their image too surreal that it's breathtaking for the audience. One was a boy and the other a woman. The female had a lavish-looking tiara on the head, matched that with the light coat of powder on her face, it's almost guaranteed to make one lose their breath. And then there's the cute little thing holding the female's hand as well. Instead of looking around at his surroundings like most child of his age would, the kid only had his sight focused on the other end of the bridge like an alarmed puppy trying to protect his possession. One step at a time, the man slowly approaches and eventually brings his bride back to attention from being wowed by his appearance. Yen Yen, from now on you are my wife, my only wife. This will never change. Bai Yan's heart actually shook over that statement. Staring at the peerless man in front of herself, a genuine smile of acceptance escapes her. Fine. However, you are not allowed to betray me in the future, nor are you allowed to hide anything from me. If you must leave me for any duration, then you must tell me ahead of time. Only then will I promise to be your wife. I promise. Raising his hand, Di-tsang brings the woman into his fold, allowing their attires to meld together as one and leaving the audience aghast over their perfectness. So this is the queen. She really is as beautiful as they claim. What a perfect match for the king. I know, right? At first I wasn't convinced, but now that I've seen it with my own eyes, I can only give up. The females of the various clans had similar opinions now that they've seen the competition. They aren't going to put up a hopeless fight when the other side was of such high caliber. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. Congratulations to the king in marrying the queen. The people underneath all took to their knees, the voice respectful and of one. Rise. The demon lord's voice could only be called lukewarm at best despite this being his wedding day. Thank you, your majesty. Permission given. All of the attendees then rose again with one certain old fella that apparently had more galls than everyone else. I must send my granddaughter to the king's side as his consort. Sire, I have something to, but before his sentence could be finished, the arrogant words of Di-tsang cuts in again. Before anything else, I want to announce one thing. Casting his domineering gaze down to his subjects, the overpowering voice of this man rings forth like a spell. When pursuing your queen here, I promised her one thing, and that is one love for one life. So, after this coronation, there will only be one mistress of her home, and that is she. There will be no second. If I find out that someone is trying to send their daughters into my home, then I will have that person come in straight and go back out flat. Boom. The whole crowd literally exploded with discussion right there and then. For those who had secret motives inside, those ideas were naturally squashed right on the spot. King, actually abolished the harem? They could do nothing but to look up with disbelief in their eyes at the couple. Didn't he bloom? How can this be? Any man who becomes acquainted with the matters of man and woman always look for more to serve them. This doesn't match the script. Furthermore, when have humankind been able to endure the energetic bodies of us demons? They always break after a few runs at night. The queen should be no different. Want to marry the queen, too? In addition, Di-tsang issues a sinister chuckle. In order to prevent you bunch from causing any troublesome pain for my wife, those that does the proposal will also face the same crime and be punished by death. The old man who was trying to make the request subconsciously stepped back a few steps after hearing the words from his king. He wanted to hide that head until his existence disappeared altogether. That brings the end to my announcement, said Di-tsang, who coldly swept his gaze over to the old man then. What did you want to say earlier? Don't joke around. The king has already spoken. Whoever raises the matter is equally dead, so why would I still want to send my granddaughter into the palace? If nothing else, all of you can retire after giving your greeting to your queen and prince. As for the gifts, smiling menacingly despite not even trying, I will have my men go collect it from your stations. There's no need to continue bothering my wife. Wiping some of those cold sweat away, the old man takes a quick bow in a deflated manner. Chieftain of the Wolf clan, pays my greeting to the queen and crown prince. Using this as the signal, the rest of the other clans also bowed in unison in worship of Bai Yan and Bai Shichen. Their expressions were all very serious and sincere, the only exception being Huang Xiaoying, who was acting a tad out of line by rubbing her shoulder against the old grandma beside herself. Grandma, do you see over there? Right there is your future grandson-in-law in the prince's arm. Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases without disappointment. The old lady's eyes promptly lit up after seeing the white tiger snoozing in Bai Shechen's arms. Talk about smiling straight from the heart. Very good, as expected of my future grandson-in-law. Look at that nose, those eyes, talk about handsome. My granddaughter has good eyesight in picking such an outstanding tiger. Now that instantly brought on a black face for the tiger chief in question. He's been listening on everything. How can this little guy be handsome when he can't even take on his human form? Really, what is mother seeing? Grandma, I also think I have very good eyesights. She smiles all proudly before her family. He will become your true grandson-in-law in no time at all, that I promise. That's good then. I'm loving this little guy just by looking at him, unlike your ugly old pops who only knows how to annoy me at every possible opportunity. Oh right, don't tell your father about this, keep this between us both only. Don't worry Grandma, I will certainly not tell father. He's not only stingy and short-sighted, he's also easy to get angry. Despite being only a few feet away from his family, the Tiger Chief obviously didn't hold much existence between these two scams of a mother and daughter of his. How can you two talk bad about me right in front of my face? Furthermore, can you two at least acknowledge my existence? Oh my heart, it hurts, hurts. Compared with the emotional excitement of everyone attending today, Long Chang Tian's heart was obviously not feeling very good right now. His dragon family had always been a supreme existence within the demon realm, meaning he has no fear of the other inferior races. So, the fact that the female standing beside the king wasn't his daughter definitely brought on some discontent within the dragon man's heart. But that quickly changed when his eyes fell upon Dragone's existence. The little missy was following in Bai Yan's tail. Oh right, I still have one thing to announce. Bai Yan pushes her disgruntled husband aside and pulled her new friend to the front. Is the chief of the dragon clan present? Though startled at first over the summoning, Long Chang Tian nevertheless hurried to step forward. Is there anything my queen needs of me? Want to marry the queen? 3. I don't know if the people in the palace have notified you yet, but I will say it again. After this, I will be taking Dragony with me. If the members of the dragon clan wishes to see her again, I will have my people escort her back for a visit. Turning her lips into a sneering grin of contempt, Bai Yan gazes down at the dragon chief with clear disdain in those eyes. Just that if I find another scar on Dragony's body after the visits, I will have the soldiers rain down at your doorsteps as a consequence. Long Chang Tian honestly didn't expect such an open threat. Popping those eyes in shock, the man looks up with incredulous disbelief. I don't agree. Zhang Ruki abruptly jerks up from the ground in protest. Dragony is my daughter, I don't want her to leave me. I can never allow this little fool the chance to surpass Xiaoya. Rui. The dragon chief roars out at his wife in fright, get down on your knees this instant. Giving a damp look at this so-called mother, Bai Yan then shifts her attention back to the little missy instead. Dragony, tell me, how does your mother usually treat you? Making an innocent look like that of someone oblivious to the situation, the young girl did as told. My mother dislikes it when I call her mother, that's why I can only call her madam at home. They would also often yell and hit me, calling me little fool. One time I stole second sister's pastry to eat because I really wanted to have a taste. That's when she used hot water to burn me. Whenever Dragony brought up all the cases from her past, the voices of the guests would diminish by another level until only the crisp sound of the young lady could be heard. Of course, Zhang Rui would be livid at having her misdeeds pointed out in open public, hence the blue and white color on that face. How dare she embarrass me in the public? Did she forget who gave birth to her? As for the rest of the audience, many were now showing disdain with a much larger portion making angry glares at the dragon chief and his wife. They knew Dragony was a mentally challenged girl inside, but that doesn't excuse the poor treatment these parents are giving her. No one likes to hear such sad stories, especially during auspicious events like the Queen's coronation. Dragon Chief, finally someone couldn't hold back and spoke up. Is this lady really your daughter's mother, or is she a new wife you took in? Visit my site on Catranslation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. I say, this is the first time I've seen a mother treat their own flesh and blood like so. This really opens up my eyes today. The ridiculing voices of his peers had left the dragon chief utterly embarrassed with nowhere to hide his face. Rui, if you keep making trouble here then I will divorce you once we go back. Long Chang Tian fires off a stare of death at his wife. Though unwilling, the dragon wife was now left in a pinch and knew better than to resist. For that reason, Bai Yan saw it as an opening to continue. Tell me, would you like to go with them, Dragony? No. I don't want to. The young Missy heavily grasped onto her savior's arm, refusing to let go. Queen, I like you, please let me stay with you and not them. Who said Dragony was stupid? She understands enough to know who's the best for herself. As for the dragon clan that gave birth to her, there's only torture awaiting there if she returns. Okay, smiling gently, Bai Yan slowly caresses the girl's hair to soothe that anxiety. You don't need to go anywhere. From now on you can stay with me and Xiachen. Want to marry the queen, for, giving a stern look at the little Missy, Bai Xiachen's grumpy appearance eventually subsides to that of forgiveness. Humph, fine, I won't cause her trouble for trying to take some of mother's attention since I feel so sorry for her. Lastly, I have some final words for you all. All smiles still, Bai Yan lets go of Dragony's hand to confront the gazes from everyone down below. In the demon realm, there will be no distinctions between the high and low. I don't care whether you are the dragons or other races, those who touch the ones under my protection can expect my fury to rain down from above. Long Chang Tian remains silent during all of this with only his eyes making a strange light as Dragony's image reflected in those pupils. Furthermore, Dragony is only a late bloomer, she is not stupid. No one can insult her as a fool. If I catch wind of this again then you know your ending. Not everyone may be able to perceive the late bloomer phrase, however, they most definitely understood the threat in the latter part of Bai Yan's sentence. Being enemies with her is the same as being the enemy of the king. As if we are that stupid to shorten our own lifespan. Grinning right up to his nose now, Di Tsang was enjoying every aspect of his wife's dominance to the point where he couldn't resist making a grab for her body. Sweeping his fingers across that fine silky hair, the man's demeanor could only be called spoiled. Do you all understand that? My wife's word is the same as mine. Likely the result of the Demon King's appearance, none were able to protest the idea. In fact, their heads were now lowered than ever before, like they are confronting two Demon Kings instead of a queen. Yen, we are wasting too much time here, we should, it's our wedding night. Bai Yan's heart trembled over that last bit. Since that day in the field of flowers, she had more than once tried to go through a union with Di Tsang. Sadly, whenever they did so, the same scenes from the battlefield would emerge again, causing the happy occasion to cut off repeatedly. Don't worry, I only want to hold you during our sleep. Moving his fingers away from the hair and onto that chin, Di Tsang's touch brought a fuzzy tingle to the woman in his possession. If you don't want to yet then I won't force you. Di Tsang, I remember you've always wanted to force your way with me to get revenge for that day, did you not? Smirking mischievously, the woman's eyes reflected a light like that of a predator wanting seconds. Going black in the face, the man knew he just got one-upped by his wife. I did want to take revenge, just that I didn't expect to have my heart smitten by your existence. As if revenge for that day could compare with my desire for you. Suddenly, a soft peck from a lovely set of lips had landed on the man's own, causing him to grin stupidly while the female smiles with satisfaction. He is always so overbearing at times, but he can be so sweet during moments like these. I just hope he won't let me down. Taking the interaction between this perfect couple, Dragony grew jealous with that yearning face. I also want to give Queen a kiss, that instantly brought on a wave of darkness to Bai Shechen's face. That's my mother, my mother. I'm already turning a blind eye to you trying to take some of her attention away from me, now you want to kiss her. I won't allow it. Smooch. Then before the little rascal could protest any further, a pair of soft tender lips had come flying over at his own. And of course, the flushed appearance the baby boy made next was that of anger and not shyness. This little girl actually dared to kiss me. But the most annoying part for the kid was what came afterwards. I saw Queen kiss your cheeks earlier, that makes my kiss equivalent to giving Queen a kiss through you. Bursting forth the most brilliant smile she could muster, Dragony's appearance clearly told the story of she not understanding the fault in her behavior. Want to marry the queen, 5, PFFF. Bai Yan finally couldn't hold back her laughter now that she's been privy to this hilarious exchange between her son and the little missy. Shaking slightly from the funny mood, it's good to let Xiachen have a playmate, this way he will have someone to accompany him. I'm liking this little girl more and more. Mother. Turning around with grievance in his eyes, Bai Xiachen openly pleads for help. Can you not let this little girl get close to me, she is scary. No. Di Tsang harshly cuts down the idea, I have something to do with your mother so you are in charge of taking care of her. Bai Xiachen's small little face instantly went rock hard in terms of stiffness. He wanted to refuse right away, unfortunately, Di Tsang's action was faster. In a blink of an eye, the two dashing figures were gone and out of the crowd's sight. Mother, you really don't love me anymore after Mary Batty father, biting the corner of his sleeve in discontent, the boy tears up like an abandoned puppy. Hoo, mother would never leave me behind back then, but now she's done it many times already. Poor little Xiachen, Di Xiaowan wipes the droplet of tear from her eyes like a saddened auntie. You need to understand that no one can stop your father from taking someone away if he forces it, that applies to your mother as well. Tilting his cute little head, the baby boy now got it, in that case, all of this is Batty father's fault. Yes, it is his fault, the demon princess nods in earnest. He is strong, that's why your mother could only go with him. That's right. Batty father must be jealous of me being lovely and cute, that's why he would always deliberately toss me aside. The more this kid's mind went down this path, the more right he felt that to be the case. Making an indignant face, humph, I won't help him in the future again anymore, regardless of whatever good words he says to me. I like to see him leave me behind then. A humph. The state teacher had only just arrived from behind Di Xiaowan's back when he heard this exchange. Is it all right for you to frame your brother like this? The man makes a helpless smile from behind. As for Di Xiaowan, she naturally knew what the state teacher thought. Nevertheless, that doesn't stop her from sticking that naughty tongue out to gloat. Who asked brother to bully me? Now that I've helped him get sister-in-law home, it's time I get some payback. What are you coming here for? Seeing the dragon chief coming over after venting his steam, Bai Xiachen promptly spread his arms out to block off the person. My mother said it already, Dragoni is not going back with you. Showing an awkward face, Long Chang Tian meekly answers, I only want to have a private conversation with my daughter, I didn't intend to take her away. I don't believe it, the boy purses his lip, not believing an ounce of that as he cast a signaling stare at the woman further in the back. This woman bullied little Dragoni so often, I'm not going to believe you and throw her back into the fire. Wrinkling his brow at the realization, Long Chang Tian immediately turned around using his harsh glare, Rui, you stay here and don't follow me. After dropping this order to his wife, the dragon chief then turns back to the little prince using the most respectful tone he could make, Your Highness, I really only wanted to have a private conversation with my daughter. If you are worried, I can leave this evil woman here, is that good? The baby boy didn't answer, only giving a momentary silence in return as he accessed the situation. According to his view, there's no malice or evil coming off of this Long Chang Tian, so. Xiachen, hold on. Stepping in now, Di Xiaowan figured it's best she took over, what can't you say in front of us that you must speak in private? This, hesitating for the longest time, Long Chang Tian sounded troubled, my daughter's behavior earlier was a bit too over the top, that's why I wanted to correct her while away from His Highness's presence. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.